You're listening to Brigade-Radio-One. All right, real quick, welcome to another episode of Combat Radio. I should make a few announcements. July 25th, we will be making a special live broadcast appearance from the decks of the HMS Surprise, which is the ship from Pirates of the Caribbean and Master Commander. That is actually for Comic-Con. We'll be doing it with the cast of Black Sails, and I will be making an appearance at San Diego State the following night. That appearance is sold out, but hey, you know, there's got to be creative ways for a college student to get into something. July 13th, we will be doing a World Cup final bash. This will benefit Mercy and Sharing. That'll be July 13th at 11 o'clock, hosted by Wakano. That is actually sold out too, but if you go to our Facebook page, we're giving away a few tickets for those who've worked and helped us with our charity efforts in the past. And that includes everyone that volunteered for our annual Combat Radio Christmas Breakfast for Homeless Children, where we do the 300 to 400 homeless kids every Christmas. If you were a hand or a cosplayer or a volunteer on that, you got access to this party. Just make sure your life insurance policy is in place. And also, my friend, Director Larry Blameyer, who did probably the best replica Ed Wood type film I've ever seen in my life, Lost Skeleton of Cadabra. He's doing a Kickstarter for Lost Skeleton 3, conveniently titled The Lost Skeleton Walks Among Us. You can find this and information on all this craziness on our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, all that stuff. And I'll get the final announcements when I remember what they actually are. We'll be right back to start the show. Yeah, we got to jump right into this because the epicness has happened early at the studio this morning. Going around the room real quick. Our good friend Stan Zimmerman, director, producer extraordinaire, who had a hand in everything from Roseanne to Gilmore Girls to his new play on the Fringe circuit, Meet and Greet, daughter of, just relative genius, is co-hosting with me today. Stan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Always a privilege to have you around. You're a pretty epic personality. And then, of course, not to be upstage, but God's guitarist walked into the studio. She's been the guitarist for everyone from Prince to Seal to Mick Jagger to Ziggy Marley to, well, God, like I said. And if Jesus came back a second time, she's ready to rock for him, too. Kat Dyson, how are you?
I am pleasingly happy.
And you survived our World Cup charity event earlier this month.
Absolutely. It survived me.
Very gracious of you to attend. And then going around the room, we got the canned napalm of epicness.
Now I'm scared.
Who doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks. And made it clear, walking in, Director Betty Thomas, who's actually nothing short of extraordinary. How are you?
I'm extraordinary, thank you.
You are extraordinary. I understand you guys played golf this morning and decided you're going to slum it over here with us in Combat Radio today.
That's correct. That's our day so far in a nutshell. Golf, breakfast with pancakes, and Combat Radio.
And that's how you walked in here going, how do I turn this day around and make it more of a positive? How do I get out of this station and do something more positive? I got to tell you, not to mention, 27 titles you've directed, or hundreds of things, it seems like.
Hundreds and hundreds.
You've directed every third movie, basically.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
And you've worked with some legends like Howard Stern and stuff.
That's a legend.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a minute. I have to admit, I loved you on Hill Street Blues.
You can't be that old, dude.
I'm not that old, neither are you. But I loved you on Hill Street Blues, and thanks to Hulu, we can relive every golden moment of you busting perps with your nightstick and really shaking it up. And I got to say, the guy that actually got me in this business was the second assistant director on that at the time, Jack Philbrick.
Jack Philbrick, you're kidding?
No, that is the guy who actually took me seriously as a kid and said, you know, I'm not going to disrespect you or discredit your interest in the business. We got you. Come down. At that time, he was working on Picket Fences. He's like, come down. I'm the unit production manager. But talk about, I don't know if your feelings are the same, but for me, first class personality.
Yeah, he was good. Good dude.
Yeah. Still is.
She doesn't remember who he is.
Did he have blonde hair? No, I know. I remember.
She doesn't remember names. So on any set, it's always Bucky.
No.
Hey, you.
Is that Hey You? But Hey You's kind of a
dude. Dudes, yeah.
Dude.
I was the tall one on the Brady Bunch movie, right?
Tall?
Yeah.
You're like the shortest
guy. Because my
ever.
writing partner and I was the tall one between the two of us.
Well, let's backtrack for a minute.
Boy, okay.
How did the two of you come to work together? And how did that happen? And what was the first meeting like?
That's an interesting story.
Yeah, you weren't there at the first meeting. That's how it happened.
Because those dudes got fired and replaced by you.
I wouldn't have hired you if you had been there.
Thank God I wasn't there.
I hired the other guy. And then you showed up, and I went, what the heck?
Well, we had
Who
the
is this
same
guy?
agent, right? Richard Feldman.
I don't.
Right? You
Well, all
remember
I
that?
know is he was a good guy.
was
That
a
guy
good
made
guy.
me do the Brady Bunch. I said, Brady Bunch, come on, that's stupid. I'm not doing a TV show for a movie. Then I read the script, and I actually saw it had a point of view, and I was like, wait a minute, I better see if I could do this movie. It was my first big movie.
Yeah.
But I actually remember you because I was a writer on Hooperman with Stephen Bochco.
Which I loved.
Are you
Hooperman.
shitting me? I never knew that till this moment.
How do you like this? This is breaking news here.
No, I like
I was a
Hooperman.
writer. We only lasted 13 episodes on
I
that
see.
show
I
because
see.
it was not our genre, but Bochco hired us. And I remember you were starting to shadow
I
directing.
shadowed for a year
I
and
know,
a half.
but I think you were the first person I knew that actually shadowed. And now I've been
We
shadowing.
didn't call it shadow. We didn't call it
Yeah.
shadow. We called it observing at the time. That's how you became a director. Is like you observed like all day. I just took it like a job. I showed up at 7 a.m. and went home whenever everybody else went
But
home.
were you the first person to do that? Because I never remember anybody
and
doing
now we're
that.
starting legends. Wait a minute.
Wow, but
No,
that's
but really,
good though.
she-
That's good press, Betty. Let's keep
Came
that one
every
going.
day.
I
She
created-
wanted to be a director, and she came every day.
It's true
to
that
set.
it's also
It was-
true that Anthony Yurkovich on Hill Street Blues and later Miami Vice said Betty Thomas is going to be the best director on planet Earth in a few years. Give her some time. Well, I heard that's what he said
But
anyway.
he did say, well, he had the nicest cars, didn't he? That guy had great cars.
Yeah, he had great taste in cars. I mean, that's the only reason any of us watch
What do you
Miami
remember?
Vice.
But we were just little writers. I was so intimidated by her
But
because I
wait,
knew her from Hill Street Blues.
I was with it. This is how we got together. This is how we got together. You might not know everything.
Oh,
but
no.
So
Now I'm scared.
Here's the deal. I performed with a group of all. Is it all off? Am I
No,
fine?
you're good. You're good. I'm just moving the mic closer because our audience is going to crucify me if they can't hear what
Okay.
you're saying.
So I used to perform in this group. Kat and I were just talking about this morning.
Iron Maiden, I loved them. They were awesome.
They asked me though. Trust me.
They're smart. That's
This
why.
was called the Whims. It was called the Whims, and there was an all-women's group. We got to play all the men's roles because in improv you never get to play. There's always too many men and not enough women. So we formed a group of all-women improvisers, and we performed on the West Side in Ocean Park, at the Ocean Park Church or something there. And the people who came to it were like gay people, like
And me.
like Stan's partner.
There you go.
Like Stan's
Just
partner,
outing me on
Jim.
radio.
Jim
Yes,
Burr.
we came
Outing
together.
me on more breaking news.
There you go.
All right, go ahead.
Everyone's
It's
gay,
not
aren't they?
breaking news,
Basically,
yes.
I mean, basically. So
That's what you want in your civil rights activist right there.
Yeah, right.
So the gay people would come, and also women would come, and most of the women were gay too. So I don't know. It was just like it was a great group of people from the West Side. So one of those people was his partner, and when I was looking for people to punch up the already good script by Bonnie and Terry Turner, who did
Yes.
the '70s show and everything, a million things.
But there were a bunch of writers after them. I think we were the fourth or fifth group.
No,
on
it was only Terry and Bonnie until you guys showed up, wasn't it? All right, fine. I don't know about that. I'm the director. I just don't pay
Right.
much
You
attention.
just direct things.
But they so he was you were in Europe or Greece like a gay
I was
person
in
would be.
Mykonos. So I was in Athens. First of all, I read the script before my trip, and they said, just read the script. I'm going, I get the idea of it, of the Bradys staying the Bradys in a contemporary world, but it didn't seem to mine everything that it needed to mine for
Exactly.
the humor of it. I left not thinking we had the job. I went on to Europe and Italy, and I was in Athens having a scary, horrible time. The phone rings in my hotel, and I thought it was a man. It was Betty Thomas. And she's like, dude, get back here. You want to come back to town to work? And I was
I
like,
didn't even know you. Why
I
would
know. You just, because you had met Jim.
Yeah, that's right. And
you said-
Jim is the reason you got hired.
Thank God, yes.
And you got hired on what basis, though? Because you were a great
writing.
writer, or I
He
mean,
had written for Golden Girls and Roseanne.
is that why?
Blah,
Because you
blah,
had
blah, blah.
the history with Golden Girls and
No,
a big
it
success.
was because Jim had come to see the
Whims,
Whims.
that's
I'll
it?
tell you, that's
Oh,
why.
wow.
I thought
Okay.
any guy who came to see the Whims, who knew he was gay, not gay? I just thought a guy who saw the Whims, that's like so weird. I'm hiring this guy.
Well,
Man.
back then we were all in the closet, but not we, meaning, but yeah. So then I said,
You're
give me-
best uninterrupted, Stan, when you talk. I'm going to let you just have the floor.
Not
for a
me.
minute.
Not me. I'm not
So
going
I said, give me 2 days in Mykonos, and I'll be right back.
Oh,
And
yeah. Those must have been some 2 days.
They were
huh?
2 days, let me tell you.
brother.
Best 2 days of my life. And I came back. We had never written for a movie before. She locks us in.
Obviously.
We were. No, I think you hired us for just 2 weeks.
That's right.
And just to punch up, because you had already planned the location, so we couldn't change the locations. We could only change what was in that,
That's correct.
that scene.
That's
which we
correct.
changed everything. And we ended up doing all those arcs of characters.
Why did you do that? Because I demanded.
She demanded every character, even the dog, had a fucking arc. The house had an arc.
That's talent, my friend, though.
There
That's
you
directing
go.
talent.
It did teach me. Now I do that in all of my shows, and when I am helping other young writers, I always say, where's the arc of
What was
every
the arc for
character?
Alice, let's say?
She had an arc.
She did.
The arc from the kitchen to the living room? What?
Wait,
Sam.
wait. Now that you say that, come on. Just for a second, we have to talk that Ann B. Davis
Oh, my
died
gosh.
recently.
Yeah.
Wait for it. And online, the first thing that was there was that the woman who played her, Henriette Mantel, was dead. That's what went online.
Yeah.
In other words, they went to the Brady Bunch movie that I made
Wow.
and said that woman was dead.
Because she looked so much
my
like
God.
her.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
she all of a sudden started getting, these calls, are you dead? Are you okay?
She was online. They reported her as
I
dead
know.
instead of
and then
Ann B.
she
Davis.
wrote a beautiful
Unbelievable.
piece online on Facebook.
Oh, she did?
Was this Fox
Yes.
News? Sounds like their level of credibility.
Hey,
I mean,
yeah.
Hey,
Don't get me
online
started
is
about
online.
that.
no fact checking, just
you mean
kind of
fixed
Just throw it out
pull the
there.
trigger,
Well,
report it.
that's CNN as well now, yeah.
It's everybody,
Anyway, go
unfortunately.
ahead. So she did have an arc actually with her
With
boyfriend.
Sam, the butcher, and all that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How can you remember that shit? That was a
But
thousand years
then,
ago.
so we...
No, you know what?
He's boring
What
cat.
about you, for a young writer listening to this right now, because we know it's an industry program, who hears you talking, you got to meet a legend, go into the meeting, and get the job. So what do you say? Like, what's the first thing out of your mouth that's like, bang, hire me because...
Just remember, he did not get the job.
I did
The
not
other
get...
guy
Not
did.
this one.
Just remember.
Right.
He's making this
My
up.
Before
writing
you didn't get the
partner.
job, what did you say?
I've got another job. You just
From
have to be
Legends, though.
You just have to be yourself, and I think that helped. And we just talked about how our connections with you, and then there was a connection with you and Jenna Topping, who was a
That's right,
producer
Jenna.
on it, and we were just babies of that TV culture. I mean, as a kid, I watched all the Brady Bunch episodes, but once we got the job, she made us watch every single episode again.
That's right.
And I think I had always thought it was a really funny show and that Alice was really funny. She wasn't funny. She never said anything funny. She just kind of shrugged. And,
I know.
And
She was like the cue to the audience that something was happening. Like, her reaction was
but it
like...
wasn't like today's comedies where it was a little more punchlines, and we had to add a lot of jokes. So they locked us in a storage closet with scripts. And they would say, rewrite the scene while you were casting, and you were meeting all the actors coming in.
Gary Cole.
Yes. Christine Taylor.
How was Gary Cole?
Gary Cole, come on.
my God.
Here's what the woman who's head of Paramount at the time is Shelley.
Sherry Lansing.
Sherry Lansing.
I called her Shelley all the time, and I called Shelley Sherry all the time. But anyway, so Sherry, no, Shelley, which one is it?
Sherry Lansing.
Sherry Lansing, a pretty fabulous woman, actually, and one of the first women to take over the whole damn world and
Yeah.
run Paramount and all that. So Sherry says to me, you can't hire Gary Cole, honey, sweetie. You can't hire him because he's like the hunk. He's the hunk. He's Midnight Caller. He's the hunk. You can't have him be Mr. Brady. And I said, dude, have you looked at his audition? Have you...
It would be like hiring William Friedkin to direct Jade,
Oh, whoops.
which she did.
Yeah,
She was married to him.
yeah.
Okay, it's a little too inside
Yeah,
of the
no,
last.
no.
I got that.
But,
that was
Yeah.
good. That was
But
good.
if you shut your eyes, he is Mike Brady. It's
Oh, he was
so
brilliant.
If you
spooky.
opened your eyes, he was Mike Brady.
Yes.
I thought there was just nobody else. I kept saying to everybody, "Why are we seeing other people? This guy has got to play." And I'd already directed him it once, and it was just like he did it as a favor. I don't know. It was just like he was so perfect.
So you guys had a rapport, so it was not you didn't have to persuade him, or he got it right away and knew what he
Dude,
was...
I didn't even think he would come in. I said, somebody said to me, he wants to come in and show you his Mr. Brady. I was like, oh, come on. But then he came in and he was so damn good.
But in the original script, you know how Mike tells those long stories? That wasn't in there. And we started adding
right.
them.
Yeah.
And so we made it a bit. And we made the whole Jan-Marcia rivalry. That wasn't in there. So we just kind of...
All right, now don't make the whole thing be about the Brady Bunch. Now we're going to
No,
get
no.
so deep into the
But
Brady
remember about Sherry Lansing, what she said to you. She gave, you $15 million to make the movie.
12.
Wow.
Come on, nobody's ever honest about this shit, but 12.
Right.
Right, and you had always said
That's plenty.
that she didn't even know what you were doing or the idea of how the tone of it was, and it
She
wasn't
didn't.
until the first screening, and then she said
No,
to
no,
you,
she said no.
But
What?
that's what you told me. She said, "Now I get it."
No, she said she didn't. She saw dailies, the first dailies with Gary in them, and she went, "Okay, honey, now
Home
I
free?
get it. Okay, sweetie, I get it."
Because no one had done that with adapting a TV show into a film.
Right, it was pretty straight ahead, just doing it.
But she said to us as we were writing, she said, "You have to write it for the Brady fans. You also have to think about the kids that have never seen the show. And then the best part was she said, write it for stoners. And I said, okay, I can do that. And we really did think of those
true.
three
You were
things.
the perfect people.
Yeah, to do that.
You were.
But then I remember opening night, and then we can stop Brady, but not really.
This is your moment, Stan. You sure you want to stop this freight train?
I don't. In my mind, as a kid, I always thought openings like you'd have a big limousine and the studio cart you to all the theaters. Well, they didn't give us any limousine, especially with $12 million.
Well,
so
I got a limousine.
You got us a limousine,
yeah.
And we went to all the different theaters. On
That's a
opening
good
night.
direct. That's not just a good director. That's a classy person
It was
right there.
a classy person.
Wow.
On the first theater, I think we went like 5:30. Nobody was there. And we thought, oh my God, it's going to be a
I never
bomb.
thought, oh my God. I never thought that.
I
Just
did.
to go on the record, I never thought, oh my
was
God, what a bomb.
scared.
And it wasn't, nobody was there. It just wasn't a lot of
Yeah,
people there.
'cause it
But at
was
the
in Century
7:30,
City.
there were people
Packed.
sitting in the back
In
of
the
the thing.
aisles.
No
It was
seats.
crazy.
They were piled. They were up in
Yeah.
the rafters. They were all
Wow.
over.
That was just the most
That was
thrilling
it.
night.
Then we
yeah.
went to Laddie's house.
Yes.
What was
Alan
Laddie?
Alan Ladd Jr.?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
produced it.
Laddie produced it with Jeno. Actually, Jeno produced it.
Jeno
Topping. But Laddie, she worked for. That was her first job, really,
Yeah.
in the business. And Laddie was the one who was really behind it in terms of producing it. But Laddie doesn't talk, if you understand. I mean, if you've ever met him, he sits in a room. When I came in to get the job, he sat in the room and he said, "Hi, Betty. Thanks for coming." And I said, "Oh, you're welcome. I mean, so." And he just sat there. He just sat there. And I was like, so Jenna goes, okay, so you'll get it after a while. You have to talk. He doesn't say anything. You just have to keep talking. And eventually you'll hit on something that he'll shake his head to or something, and then you know you've gotten hired. But so that's basically what happened.
You know, I got to tell you, I respect Alan Ladd more than probably any executive, knowing what
Why?
because of they have the vision to change the lead into a woman in Alien and to go forward with Star Wars, but also his role to kind of downplay the effects in The Omen and make it more. And when I was working in the Warner Brothers mailroom and I had my first meeting with an agent at ICM and I thought I was going to Paris, I got to the desk the same time as him and I'm like, look at, I was told Loda, I said, look who's standing next to me. She's like, and the receptionist was like, and you are like the total David Spade to him. I'm like, this guy basically redefined the 70s. Can you get this guy in the elevator before me? I was just so blown away. And of course, I didn't have a radio show or anything significant to talk to him about. So we just walked by. And anyway, I'm glad to hear.
Remember his house? He had like portraits of him everywhere.
He had portraits of himself?
Yes.
Wow, I love
Yeah,
that.
it's
remember.
interesting.
Like,
It's
you
so
know you
Monty
made it.
Burns.
Yeah.
It's so Montgomery Burns.
I
It's
was
scary.
just like a kid going, oh my God,
But
with
he's
this
like
home
he
in
had that
Beverly
horror.
Hills.
He had sort of an interesting upbringing. Laddie, I love you personally. In case you're listening, he would never be listening to this. But anyway,
You don't know that.
but
might now.
Actually, by the way, just want to say that he did hire me for my first movie, and therefore I owe him a great,
Right.
great gratitude. Great gratitude.
When you say he's got portraits of himself, I picture him like in a mock, like safari getup, like
It
Colonel
was. I
Mustard,
remember,
like standing
like-
on a dead elephant with like a gun, but it's really taking it like a
To
kinder
me,
photo
That's what I think
stage,
it was.
and he's like,
you walk in and there's like
this is him on Mount Everest, like
Yes.
climbing Everest.
But-
This is him playing World Cup soccer, like running with
It
Pele.
was sort of like, I
Yeah.
mean, not quite, but it was sort of like that. It was sort of amazing. He had all the political people in the world standing with him. Every president, everything. It went back to Roosevelt, So, but
Wow.
Think of his father. I mean,
Yeah.
he was in
But he wasn't. He didn't live with his father. You know the story, right? He got pushed aside, and his brother David got to live with Dad and the new mom, and the old mom was pushed aside. And at one point, I don't know what happened to the old mom, but Alan had to come live with his dad, and they made him live in like the maids' quarters. Okay, maybe I'm telling stories, but I think this is true. They made him live in the maids' quarters.
Wow,
That's how
shameful.
he grew up.
Shameful.
I think that's
You
what I
don't
think.
want
That's
to
what
tell
I.
me Shelley Long stories, do you?
I love Shelley Long, and I was
Fabulous to work with because those are the watchwords for totally.
But you
different-
remember
No,
when you
here's
hired
what
her?
happened.
and we
I
were
hired her
under the
like this.
table.
I hired her like this. I said, I really thought she would be great, and she wanted to do it. But I kept saying, Shelley, I had done a movie with her. What was that movie? I was in the movie. Oh, Troop Beverly Hills. Come on, there's some Troop
movie.
Beverly Hills
Yeah.
people out here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you your resume, Patty. I'll bring up your resume bullet
Come
points.
on.
Go ahead.
Listen, when I'm walking through the airport, the one thing that happens to me is not Hill Street Blues, but people hear my voice, and girls come up and turn me around and go, oh my God, Velda Plender. You are Troop Beverly Hills. You are Velda Plender. And I'm like, dude, what are you, nuts? That was 1,000 years ago. And they're like 35 now. Those girls, they were like 11 when it happened. It's very fun.
I would say Bunny from Used Cars.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a sick fuck.
Probably accurate. But I mean, how did you like working for Robert Zemeckis since he directed that? Kurt Russell, one of my favorites.
I love Kurt Russell, and I wanted to hire him for this movie that I have coming up, but I can't do it. But anyway.
Why can't you do it?
Oh, it's a nightmare in this world. There's things like this person has to have that much money behind them. You need this person has to have
But
this. No, he's the best. I think he's one of the best actors in the world, actually. I love his acting. But so anyway, Zemeckis I knew because Flaherty and everybody from Second City. You know, we didn't
Joe
mention-
Flaherty?
Yeah, Flaherty was in that thing. I mean, everybody. That was Debbie Harmon. Come on, that was like it was. I don't know why I knew him, but I just knew him. And then I did a favor, and luckily for him, I played a certain role that we're not going to ever find, I hope, on any film anywhere. And he cut it out of the movie, and he said, "Betty, it's very funny, but it's way too revealing." And I said, "Good, get that part out." He said, "But stay another couple weeks, and we got another role for you to just to throw you in."
Gotta love a director like that, right?
Yeah.
And you don't miss acting at all?
I'm going to announce on this show that I have something coming up.
Acting?
That I am going to direct myself.
Nice.
Oh,
What is it?
I want to direct
Making
you.
this up right
Yeah,
now,
no.
but I wrote a script based on one of my favorite movies in the world. It's an Irish movie called Garda, Guarda, Garda. Brendan Gleeson, I think, is starring in it, and it was a great movie about 3 years ago. And I was sitting around just one day, and Meryl Streep always used to say to me, like I know Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep comes up to me we see each other at all these awards parties and stuff, and so after a while you sort of have to talk to these people, even though you don't.
I know,
really,
it's gut-wrenching, but Meryl, how are you?
Leave me alone.
So-
This pains me, Miss
So, of
Streep, but
course,
are you okay?
I had my nose right up her dress, and I was like, please, doctor. And she was like, well, dude, don't you do movies? Why don't you write a movie for me? Why are you just saying hi? Why don't you write a movie for me?
I love it, actually, and I love how she's like, you do movies, why don't you just do one? Like, Meryl, don't you...
That's not how she goes.
That's not how she operates.
She forgets what it's really like, you know.
I've got stacks of scripts in my office people want to make. Why don't we just make yours?
That's right. So I said, okay, Meryl, I will. I'm going to write you a script. So I took the Garda and I changed the male role to a female role, and I thought, I'm going to give this to Meryl. But while I'm writing it, of course, I can only think of me because I'm not a good writer, so I think of me as the character. So everything in it is, you fucking... I just do me, basically. And I played a cop. It's not like I don't know how to play a cop. So,
Right.
and this is a cop character. It's called Lady Cop. And so anyway, I wrote it. And then I gave it to my agent. My agent says, "Betty, you can't give this to Meryl. She'll think you're the nut of the century." So I said,
Why?
"Okay." He said, "Here's the problem. This is you. This sounds like you. This blah blah you." And I said, "Uh-oh. It is me. I'm going to play it."
A couple of quick questions. Number one, who is doing the punch-up on that script? And who's going to be doing the music on that
No
movie?
punch-up, but music.
Is there a guitar player we know, maybe? I don't
Music.
know. I mean...
We're you know who's going to do it is Tommy will put it together. Tommy Rowland at Universal Music, who does
We got some, Cat Dyson tracks. We can.
Yeah.
Who's going to handle your radio
We'll see.
publicity for that? Just asking.
I don't know. I'm going to see if I
But
can get
she's
the big
very
guys.
good at-
Howard's going to do that.
I see. Well, that's good. That's good. If you, yeah, and I'm sure he
I
owes
can
you
get
one.
it.
Betty is very loyal. She's hired us for many rewrites. We've been trying to do
It's true.
a remake of Valley of the Dolls called The Relapse.
Wait, called Valley
Yeah,
of the
Dolls.
Dolls,
The
the
Relapse.
Relapse. That's the
We
fun
spent
stuff.
a lot of time. And how many people did you meet on that? Do you remember all the people?
You mean for writers?
No, for the
talking
actresses. Didn't Beyonce come in?
Oh my God! Everybody came in. It was not Beyonce, but actually I
Yes,
did
was
meet with her.
Beyonce.
No, I went to meet with her. She didn't come in, but that was before she was Beyonce. She was just Beyonce.
Yeah,
she wasn't
Beyonce
Beyonce.
Knowles.
Yeah. But who's the girl? Who's the crazy girl? Britney Spears came
Yes.
in with this big, huge black guy that was her guardian angel or something.
Play the
he,
Patty Duke part, right? Or the Sharon Tate?
I don't remember. Anyway, that's crazy. That was crazy.
And we still want to do a prequel to the Brady Bunch. Mike and Carol, The Untold Love Story.
That is true.
Yeah, with Justin Timberlake as Mike Brady.
Really?
I
Wouldn't
bet
that be
Justin's listening too.
He
Yeah,
is. He's
we're
going,
just-
hey, wait a minute. Sign me up. Yes. Because no
That's
one knows how
Cat,
Mike
we're
and Carol
killing you
met.
over here.
Oh no, I love it. I absolutely. I'm
jump
like,
in.
but I'm a sponge to everything. That you guys are talking about, and because it's all wrapped up in my DNA as far as just being a musician. Everything we write, everything we see, it's all part of art. It's all connected. So I'm loving all of this, really.
How'd you like? I'm glad you're loving it because we love you, Kat. You're one of our favorites around here. But I want to ask before I forget, because I forget these kind of important questions. How do you like working with Howard Stern since he's going to handle all your radio press?
Listen.
Pretty awesome. I mean, how was it seriously?
I'll just tell you the two things. One, I had to go to meet him. Ivan Reitman is the reason I got to do the movie. Ivan saw Brady Bunch, thought it was perfect. He said, that was perfect. You got every joke you had to get. You got it just right. He said, so... and then I did Late Shift for him, maybe my favorite movie that I've ever done.
Late Shift?
Yeah, it's about Letterman and Leno. It's about
Yeah, I
how
remember.
Leno got the Tonight Show. Really good movie, I think. And he saw that and he said, "Oh no, that's not true." He saw Brady and he said, "Okay, I have this script about Howard Stern. What do you think of Howard Stern?" I said, "I'm not a fan." I said, "My boyfriend listens to him all day, the whole damn show, and I can't stand it. It makes me crazy. And after a while, I want to punch him." And he says, "Okay, I think you might be right. Here, read this script." I read the script. It was already so good, even before we did any little things to it to make it better. It was already so good, and that is to Ivan's credit, I think. It was written by Len... Minute. Anyway, it was,
that guy.
You can look it up, but Ivan really is the reason.
Oh, Lynn Bloom wrote it, I think.
Yeah, Lynn Bloom, thank you. Yeah, because, anyway, so Ivan put it in that good spot, but Ivan understood that Howard needed a woman to be the boss, not Ivan for sure.
Why, do you think?
I don't know. Who knows? It's special. Let Howard talk about it for about 8 shows. He'll tell you. Oh, my God. So I go to, he said, "You got to meet Howard. Howard's got to sign off on you." When I read the script, I said, "Oh my God, this is great." And he said, "I think it'll be right to have someone who's really not a fan, not an out and out fan, someone that has a little standoffishness from it." So I said, "Okay." So I went to meet him, and I'm in the green room, at the old studio that they had in New York, and and everybody's being real nice and real like, "Oh, Betty, sit down here." And I'd done nothing. I'd done Brady Bunch. That was it. I was nothing. That was the girl from Hill Street. So then I hear Howard say on the show, "Okay, I'm going to go meet Betty, and then I'm going to bring her, and blah, blah, blah." So then I see him walk through just like this, exactly like this studio. This, only it's a green room. And he walks in, he comes in, he's got stupid overalls on, those jean overalls, he's like a big farmer boy.
Yeah.
And he comes to shake my hand, and his hand is shaking. He's shaking. He's so nervous. He is literally shaking like that. And I shook his hand. I was like, "I'm going to do this movie. This is going to be
That was
good."
the sign.
That was the sign, because that meant he gave it to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? He was giving it to me. And that means I can do it with him. I could do it. It was so much fun.
So when you got a guy like that on the set, and what kind of direction does a guy like that typically
Here,
require?
I'll tell
Here's
you
your mark?
No,
Do it?
no, really. Think about it. You got to play yourself at 16, 18, at 18,
Right.
20, 25. That's sort of hard, I
Was
think.
there ever talk of another actor playing it?
Never. But having all 4 of them, Fred and everybody on stage, Robin and Fred and everybody on stage. Here's what I did. They did the show every morning, so I wouldn't get him till 12 o'clock. Wiggs took another hour. 1 o'clock, I get him on the set. I only have him 1 to 7 because he has to go back. So 1 o'clock, I get him, and what's the first thing they do? He's been talking all morning. All of them have. They sit and talk while you come. I'm trying to get him to block the scene, and they're just jabbering away. Like, they won't stop. I go, "Dude, you talked all morning long. You can't have anything to talk about." They said, "Oh, yeah, we didn't finish anything. We got to talk about some..." It was crazy how they were just so connected, with their energy levels. It was like I had to rip them apart. Here's a direction I gave Howard once. I said, "Howard, this was something about when he was on the air and he was revealing about Alice and his wife's pregnancy, or her abortion, excuse me. She lost the baby." So I said, "See, you've got to reveal something, Howard. This is kind of what acting is about, is revealing something that is not in the words. In other words, you must reveal something about how you feel about what is going on. And we have to know that. And you're not going to tell us that. You're going to have some subtext. It's called subtext." And he said, "I got it, Betty. You mean like the fact that I go eat baked potatoes in the men's room at the studio and nobody really knows that? That's the kind of thing?" And I was like, "What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
What the fuck are you saying?
Don't complicate things."
No, it's not. So that was when I backed off from all that kind of stuff. I'd say, "Here, try it like this." He was great. Come on, he was great.
No, he was great in it. I was very impressed.
He was great. He was so good. All you did was adjust up and down and things. I mean, he was just it was so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun it was.
Give me something that humanizes the guy, like on the set that, there's a moment where you realize, what was the funniest thing he said, or what was the moment where you sit there and you're like, this guy's a real person. He's a real human being.
Those 2 things I just told you to me say it. One, he was shaking when I first shook his hand. That shook his hand. That means he's nervous and just like everybody else and wants to be good and doesn't know how to act. And the first day, he said to me, Ivan was on the set the first day, and I was like, "Ivan, you can't be on the set, really, I don't think." And Ivan said, "Well, I'm going to be on the set at least for a little while. I mean, just a little bit." And Howard said, "Come here to me. Psst, come here." And I went over and he said, you got to get Ivan off the set. You know, it made him nervous to have Ivan on the set. He said, I don't know how to, I feel like I'm performing maybe for my dad or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, okay.
How is Ivan? How is he to be around to work with?
Ivan's the best, except I had to get him off the set, and he knew it. He left the set. He was never back on the set. Here's where Ivan's good. I'm not sure. I've never been on a set where Ivan was directing. He was perfectly fine as a producer. He didn't do anything, but he was just there for a day. I've never been on a set.
I love that. He was a producer. He didn't do anything.
No.
I love that.
How much money did he make?
He didn't do anything while the production was on. That's my job to really get all that stuff. I get the raw material. I go into the editing room, but then that's when Ivan likes to mess with it. After you do your first cut, he's very good, and he thinks he's a music editor. Hi, Ivan, in case you're listening. I think you were a music editor at one time and a porno director or producer. So now it's all out there.
Okay.
And, we're all here because we got lucky somehow.
Did Howard rewrite the script at all?
Not at all. And he was so great. He auditioned with, what was her name?
Mary McCormick?
Oh, I love Mary McCormick.
So great.
I love that girl. That girl is so good. She still has that show, right, on TV? What's it called?
No.
She doesn't have it still?
No, she had a sitcom last season, but it ended.
A sitcom? Yeah. She had that show in New Mexico.
Yeah, you're 2 years behind.
Oh, my God.
Okay, I know.
Come on, Betty, you're 2 years
golfing
behind.
Too much.
She has 4 children or something.
Yeah.
How do women have children and do all that stuff? I don't get it.
You can't do it all?
No.
So, Stan, what are you rewriting that's so top secret right now? Is this the Meryl Streep thing, or what are you?
I wish.
What are you actually on?
We worked on a movie called Beached for a long time.
Beached?
About the whale boy.
You know what? They tried to pull that back. Did they call you? You know who's trying to do it? Is John. What's this director's name? John. Not Turturro. Oh no, John
Turtletop.
Yeah, that guy. Okay. That guy. Good director.
Yeah.
He went in and pitched it, and I said, and he told me because he felt bad. He said, your old movie at Fox. He said I went in, but she wants to do it as a children's movie, so that's gone.
Okay.
So does Daniel J. Travanti call you for a job and stuff?
Dude,
the old police captain call you?
No, he doesn't. Nobody does. And to their credit, they are so wonderful. All those people. I had a reunion 2 years ago.
A Hill Street Blues reunion?
Yeah,
what
my house for dinner.
No way.
Invited everyone to my house for dinner. Just the actors. At first, I said, "Oh, maybe I should get Bochco and everybody," and then I talked to Bocce, and Bocce said, nah, just
I'm on Cop Rock. I'm revitalizing Cop Rock. I have no time to...
I loved Cop Rock, actually. But anyway.
Really?
You are good, Betty. You're good.
I did. Not 100%, but when it was good, what the fuck? It was so good. It was so weird and so out there. I loved it. I loved that he had the balls to try something like that. And I loved that
it was gutsy at the time.
People let him do it.
If he did it now, it would have succeeded.
It would have. He would have made it more hip-hoppy, too. It would have been much better.
So you have this reunion, and you get all the actors.
I had Daniel there. I had everybody. And it's just like I thought, what if nobody has anything to say to anybody anymore? It could be weird. Maybe we don't like each other. We liked each other a lot when we did the movie. But we were all new actors, kind of, and we grew up together. So now, it's a little different. I have a weird career. Charlie Haid has a career, and other people have other things going on. But... So Veronica wouldn't come, but because she was in New York. She was in New York. She said, I'm not coming out for a dinner. I said, okay, fine. But everybody else
Davenport.
Came. Everybody else came, and
obviously she's a method actor. Anyway, go ahead.
And it was kind of like Howard with Robin and Fred. They would not shut up. I made everybody come in the kitchen and cook something because I thought that'd keep them busy. They couldn't even cook shit. They were talking, so everybody was like nuts. It was just crazy. It was so much fun and so crazy. And no one was jealous of anybody. That's the thing that can kill you out here, don't you think, Stan? It's like it's like you can't have that. You got to have when somebody gets a job. It's got to be
You got to go big with it. You got to go
big. Not that they took the job away from me.
Way.
That you celebrate it. Like Betty's been so nice to come to my plays, and it's such a good feeling when you can celebrate other people's work.
It's just fun. It's more
I come to your
fun.
plays too, Stan. At least I try to. In theory, I'm always there with a martini.
I went to watch Cat. Actually,
where I want to watch Cat.
Cat performed down. It was Nokia at the Nokia Club
in April with Zucchero, who decided he wanted to do 2 months in North America, and we started in Canada in March. Let's just say that the Italians were new to 20 and 30 below degrees in Winnipeg and
unless they're part of the Alpini Corps. Yeah.
But the U.S. swing was very different for him because he usually only does major cities, and we actually played like in Lafayette in Nashville, Italian music, and people showed up with lighters saying, and he asked them at every show, you want me to speak in English or Italian? They're like, Italiano!
Yeah.
I mean, and we're in like Charlotte, North Carolina, and the Italians are there.
Hold on, we're getting a call. Probably because you guys are all so epic, but I want to say a fun fact real quick. My grandfather, few people know this, was actually chief of police out here. And I remember asking him at a Christmas dinner, I said, if you have to watch a cop show, what would it be? And I'm thinking he's going to say, like, Magnum PI or something. And he goes, none of them. I wouldn't watch any of them. I wouldn't recommend you watch any of them. I go, well, if you had to pick one, what would you pick? What would you recommend? I mean, come on, you're the real deal. He was also a Guadalcanal veteran, so he would never. He talked about his police shows like he just would not talk about it. Finally, goes Hill Street Blues. If I had to pick one, we would watch Hill Street Blues. It's the closest thing to anything I've seen that's any remote realism to it.
You have to remember that show changed the landscape of TV. There was nobody shooting it like that, having such a large ensemble. We now you
just
think
remind
of like
people
Office
who shot it. Who is the pilot creator who shot it? Robert Butler.
Brilliant.
He I'm telling you, that guy, he's changed the world. Nobody even knows who he is. It's like I see him all the time at DGA, and it's like I go, dude, it's Robert Butler. It's like he taught me how to act. Also,
and there's also this dude Dick Wolf on the show. What'd he ever do? These guys.
Yeah,
but you were doing comedy before that, right?
I was.
When you were Second City. Was that like your
Everybody
first
was
drama?
like, what? You're doing a drama?
Yeah. Nothing quite as funny as this show right now. Hold on, we got a caller. Hello, you're on with Combat Radio.
I'm afraid I'm going to bring the energy down. This is such a great group.
It is a great group. You're on with director Betty Thomas, producer Stan Zimmerman, God's guitarist Kat Dyson, and this is director Larry Blameyer, who put together the epic Lost Skeleton of Cadaver franchise. And you're joining us not only because you're talented, but because we've got a Kickstarter happening. Larry, what's going on with you?
What's going on? Can I ask? I have to ask. Can I ask Betty a question? Betty, have you directed yourself before in something?
No, I haven't. I'm afraid to.
I think it'd be fantastic.
Well, you know what? Here's what a genius I am. When I shot the Lost Skeleton of Cadaver, which was in the early 2000s, and it was, it was kind of a desperation thing. I wanted to do something, and I thought I'm probably going to make a movie. So we shoot this thing in 10.5 days. It's a sci-fi comedy, totally retro, and I needed a scientist. And I thought, well, I know these movies. I grew up with these B movies. I'll play the scientist. And now here we are, 3 movies later, and I have to play him again. Yeah. And so I kind of wrote myself into a corner, because whenever I get to the set, whenever I get there and I don't have to go to makeup and wardrobe and everything like that, I just feel this great sense of relief. But I'm stuck there now. I'm stuck. But that doesn't mean you're not. You're going to have a great time. I didn't mean to say you're not.
You know who I talked to there before? I'm never going to do it, because it's just be too much work, and I don't want to have to look at my old self on camera. I just don't want to have to do it. It'd be too much to confront. But I talked to Jon Favreau, who just did Chef, that movie Chef.
Yeah.
Wonderful damn movie. But he directed himself through the whole thing. He said it was so hard for him to look at dailies. He said it was just like devastating to see himself up there. He said, I'm fat, I'm older, I'm sweating. He said, I couldn't stand it. He said you have to get over it. And otherwise, he said, it's great, because you don't have to really deal with anybody who's an idiot. You got yourself. You can yell at yourself.
Yeah.
Better. The only thing I hate when I demand playbacks.
Yeah, right. I hate that too.
So you're in the new movie, Larry. You're going to be in The Lost Skeleton Walks Among Us.
Well, I have to bring back Dr. Paul Armstrong, who is once again studying rocks for science in the name of science, because he's a scientist.
But aren't all you guys dead, and they're like the twin brothers of the dead guys? Like you're the third cousin, twin cousin.
Well, that's the thing. We have we've got a group of actors that it's like a family, and we're friends and we work together. And the only way, when I kill someone off, the only way to keep working with my friend who's an actor is to bring him back as a dead twin, as a twin of the dead person.
Right. It works good that way. You know what I wanted to ask you too is, Larry, I'm going to need you to autograph a skull along with the cast for our Christmas event for homeless kids in December. Don't let me forget to him you into that.
Oh yeah.
What is the status? Where can people go to donate to the Kickstarter? And they need to donate, because this is a great project. We hardly ever endorse Kickstarters here, but yours is definitely one we've got to get into production. So where can they go to donate on it?
Well, I appreciate that. And the best way, I remember a few years ago when you could give out a URL on the air. You could just say, go to .com. But the URL for a Kickstarter is about as long as a phone book. So all I can say is Google Lost Skeleton Kickstarter, and if you Google that will come up. And we made a lot of crazy videos that are on there. We really went overboard with with videos and
Yeah.
stuff. So even if you're not helping out, just go and enjoy the stuff.
It is pretty classic how you're updating it every day with more of your craziness that has made the thing so famous. But I love when I see some of the other actors in the cast. I just saw Dan Conroy at a charity thing we did that Kat was at, actually, for the World Cup for Mercy and Sharing.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I said, who are you in this movie? Because you've died twice. Are you now the third twin or some genetically modified twin? And
You know what? He actually he was Ranger Brad in the first one, and then he came back as his twin brother Jungle Brad,
Right.
the explorer. And now that we moved to the suburbs, which is the new setting, and he is now City Brad. He's a cop. So I worked around that one.
City Brad.
And we brought back Brian Howe's character, who also was killed as a twin. And then his twin was killed, and rather than bringing back a third twin, which just seemed kind of crazy,
Yeah,
he's
'cause
playing
why start
Sergeant
get
Joe
crazy
Fleming,
now?
no relation.
Why get
So
crazy
that's
now
how
in
we
this
got
movie?
around that.
I was going to say, I miss Brian Howe a lot. He's doing the newsroom right now. He's a regular on that. But the funny thing about him is every time I ask him to come out to a party or something, he's like, well, I'm on hold for shooting this TV show called Masters of Sex, which I now assume is not true. He just loves to say he's on hold for that. I think I've just
Well, I'm saying that too. Yeah, I say the same thing. I tell everyone I'm on Masters of Sex. I just like to say it.
Yeah, but I loved him in Gran Torino for Clint Eastwood, and he was also great in the Will Smith movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. You have a lot of talent. That's the thing about The Lost Skeleton. As much as you try to kind of homage an Ed Wood film, there are real talented performers in the mix on it, man. And I got to give you props for actually seeing it through continuity-wise to the level it needs to be, man. It's like way too epic to even detail.
It's fun. And it's you kind of walk a line because if you start playing bad, emulating an Ed Wood movie or something, then I just think it just becomes bad. But if you can be serious in your badness, if that makes sense, if you're grounded, and I think then you come off more like the people in those movies from the 50s, low-budget movies.
Well, Larry, I'm going to hope to get you back on or some element of the cast next week so we can make sure this Kickstarter works for you. What do you got in closing?
Thanks, bro.
No, you got it, bro. Anytime. What do you got in closing? What's the latest?
The latest is we've got about 33 days left, and we're still trying to get the word out. We're doing interviews and everything else we can. We're trying to break out. I mean, we have a cult following which is incredibly loyal, but we're trying to move beyond that to the mainstream because I think there's basically a wider audience out there for folks who like quirky movies that are still family movies, because kids like these movies too, which is crazy. But thanks, bro.
Hey, man, anything we can do for you, you will fulfill the Kickstarter, I can promise you. I'm going to make that guarantee right on the air. I mean, 2 million plus listeners, we got to be able to meet the demands of this Kickstarter. We'll get you next week, Larry. I want to thank you for the time, man. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, thank you all. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Wrong show, but cheers. All right. All right. We'll be right back after this. And Kat Dyson and Divinity Rocks are going to go ahead and do a metal version of that theme coming up here. You'll be able to hear that first on this show, I hope.
I think it might be a first. And,
I would come to that show.
I would come to that show. Shoot, that should be the entertainment for the reunion. We're going to do a couple of metal tracks from Hill Street.
Absolutely. Definitely.
You know, when I saw Kat performing, by the way, with what's that guy's name again? Zucchero. The deal that you forget is like there's a handful, like 3 fingers full of women guitar players who rock the world. I mean, really, 3 maybe.
And this is one of them.
And I mean, like,
but there's more. There's some younger players that are coming up that I'm so happy about, and they're going to emerge, and you're going to be happy and surprised when you see them.
Well, that's good. I would look forward to it. But what I'm saying is, when I saw you there's no one you look at on the stage except for Kat, because you go, what the fuck? Look at this woman out there. It's just like you're so. And you rock it, you rock it, and I don't know, it's changed. Now I have a hard time like relating to you as a real person.
I know,
like,
so do
now
I.
You're like a rock star. At first, you were just a real person.
It's like the Clark Kent Superman
she
thing.
Says
it's like
that
what you see
now
with Superman,
until we get onto the golf course, and then she
right.
kicks my butt, and then
as Clark
then
Kent,
it equalizes.
as Clark Kent, you can kick the dude around. Do your job, Clark. You clumsy. But as soon as you show up on stage, it's like, wait a minute, what? Oh shoot, it's a superhero.
Well, now you played with Prince.
Yes, sir.
What was that like?
Oh, well,
always
that's
wanted to go to a live.
That's
Prince
a freight
show,
train conversation.
and I've never been to one. That's like a bucket list for me.
Well, I mean, I have been lucky, and I will use that word liberally. I've been lucky to work with artists who take their art to the 9th degree, and usually,
kind of like us here.
Usually, they tend to be more self-effacing than most people think, and they're harder on themselves than you could ever be. So when they demand the best from you, you know that in their own space, they're pushing themselves even harder. So, he pushed, but I didn't mind the push because it helped. But I'm from a military background, so it didn't throw me off. That there'll be lots of people that will tell you lots of things about him, but for me, I grew up with 4 brothers. I grew up around the Wooten brothers, Victor Wooten and all those guys. A lot of male musicians I consider as brothers, and he is just another one. I mean, but Cyndi Lauper, who just had a birthday, she pushes
Cindy.
herself.
Yeah.
And I did many years with her. Sheila E., another, because we're all from what I like to call the clean play club. You don't waste anything. You know what I mean? You know that every moment counts. You know that every meal you get might not, there might not be another one, because everybody went through hard knocks. Nobody I've worked with has just gotten the silver spoon of, here's talent, and you didn't have to go through anything, and you're just a star. Please.
How did Prince
even when television and the media now try to make that thing seem like it is, if you dig deep enough, you'll find out that it wasn't that way. Not even for Beyonce, who was singing when she was 3 and 4 years old in church, being pushed into the little, contest and all that other stuff, and jogging around singing while she jogged, because her dad's like, you got to be able to dance and sing and do all these things. And, you know what I mean? So there's always a backstory of a grind.
Right.
And everybody I've worked with had that same, grind. It might have been different. Cindy's thing came up from growing up in Queens, and, she had a little tough thing, went through the clubs, blah, 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 Blue Angel. Everybody's got that little grind in their backbone. So, when I work with people like that, I'm giving 100, because that's all I know. When I'm working at a club doing the hip-hop karaoke with Divinity, I'm giving 100.
Oh, I
that's
saw
all
you.
I know.
I saw you
That's
bust
all.
a string and change it in the dark.
Dude,
I was really
that's
impressed
all,
with that.
But see, that's all I know. That's all I know. So it doesn't matter whether I'm, and I've done it a few times, whether I'm playing, at the Royal Albert Hall, or like I'm playing this Sunday at Cafe Cordial.
That's a good segue.
Which is gonna be Ethan's birthday.
That's an even better segue.
Yeah.
with a band called Family Jewels, with Herman Matthews, who's the Tower Power, and Timothy B. Schmidt's drummer, Jeffrey Young.
Is that open to the public?
Absolutely.
I'll see. What time do you start?
Jeffrey Young, who is former Jackson Brown keyboard player, Steely Dan keyboard player. We're going to be doing everything from rock to Texas blues to a little bit of funkiness to a little bit of Eagles.
What's the cover
Hendrix.
for that?
There's no cover.
Oh
Cafe
my! What?
Cordial on Ventura.
Yeah,
Cafe
And you'll be
Cordial.
singing happy birthday to Ethan.
Absolutely.
I'm
We
all
start
about it.
at
What are you doing that
8:30.
night, Stan? You want to come down for martinis?
No, dude. And,
Oh, okay.
and good dinner. Good dinner.
I'm
Good-
buying that day.
Oh, no, you
No,
don't.
not on your birthday.
Oh, come on, I got you guys.
We got to celebrate you.
No.
Yes, sir.
We need to celebrate the art that is the
sir.
music that
We
is
gotta
Cat
celebrate
Dyson.
you.
When is Betty Thomas going to direct the music video of Cat solo stuff?
I don't
Have
know
you ever
how to
done a
do
music
that.
video?
Nah, I don't know how to do that.
Why?
You got to be kooky and kinky and good.
And
I
you're
don't know
not?
how to do that.
Well, I
That's
tell
my
you
real
what,
life,
if
not
we
my-
do this metal version of Hill
Oh, you've
Street
got to
Blues,
do that.
Oh yeah.
we got to do a making
wait.
of
Oh,
that
wait,
because
wait.
I'm going to get some girls.
All right.
I'm going to get some girls together, and
All
we're
right.
going to do this.
All right.
I think we should
might have to
intercut
do
it
that.
with the original opening too. Do like
Absolutely.
a fun
Start
version
it
too.
all nice and soft. I have a great female Japanese keyboard player who arranges beautiful strings, and she plays very heartfelt.
Yeah.
She'll start it, and then
Crack it.
Divinity Rocks will probably be on bass.
We
Myself.
have a lot of respect for her around
Yeah,
here.
and I got a few other girls that play their buns off that I'm gonna bring into the project. And
But you've always had a lot
I
of
like
music in your movies, Betty. I mean, Brady and then Chipmunks. You had
Chipmunks?
music? Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do music-wise in that?
Well, that was all Ollie D. Ollie D is this guy from New York. You know him?
Yeah.
And he put all that music together. But I kind of got roped into. Not that I didn't love Ollie D. He's the nicest dude in the history of the world, and he knows music. It's just that I didn't get to pick everything, so I wanted to do classic songs that they would sing and have. And they wanted all originals because it's cheaper.
Right.
So they made a deal with Ollie D, and I kind of got roped in. But then I forced them to do real songs too. So you can never win.
You can never win.
And how do you pick your music for your movies?
How do you pick it? Do you have
We have a music supervisor. You have different music supervisors. I've never found the love of. I never found the perfect. Hey, you know who was my music supervisor? Remember this on the Brady Bunch? Guess. Steve Terrell.
Really?
Dude, the dude's a singer now. He's a big-time jazzy singer, and he was my music supervisor. And everybody said, "Oh, you're going to love him. He's like, he's a lot of fun. He does rock and roll stuff." And I said, "Really?" I never heard of him, Now, Steve Terrell.
And so do they just present you with songs and say, how about this for this moment? How does that work?
Well, they do, and sometimes, a lot of times. Like I say, look, here's what I love. Like Peter Teschner, my editor at the time, would say, you lay your temp track in, and your temp track, unfortunately, you fall in love with, and you can't get all that shit because it's all the good shit that you really want to have. But you also steal shit from other movies, and you throw it in there if it has the right emotional stuff, just to put it in there for a while. And my composer, I have to mention, is Richard Gibbs from Oingo Boingo. Richard
Nice.
Gibbs, piano player.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
There, that's
Yeah.
it. That's all I got.
I mean, when I work with film people and people in television, as a writer, and a lot of writers won't do it, but I want to sit down and find out their playlists, what they listen to. What were you listening to when you were reading?
What were
the
you
script?
listening to, Betty?
When you were reading this script, what were you listening to when you conceptualized the visuals
Yeah.
for the
For the
script?
Chipmunks,
And
I'm guessing it was Iron Maiden.
a lot of the name guys won't do it as much, but I think it's an injustice to not sit with the director and do that.
Well, we always do that, actually. But, like Scorsese does his own music on set. Like, he'll play shit on set to get the actors to do. I've done that a couple times, but it doesn't usually work. But how about, remember Mary McCormick? Was that her name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary McCormick, I'm lost, Mary McCormick brought her own, she had earphones, and she played music before emotional scenes and stuff, and we were all like, we'd never seen an actor do that before.
That's genius.
She'd put her earphones in, she'd play this thing, and she'd go, we'd say, roll camera, we'd get everything ready, and I'd say, let me know, give me a signal. She'd go, okay. Took it off, and she'd go, wank. And she'd look up, and suddenly her eyes would pour
That's
tears
brilliant,
and
though.
shit. Like, all sorts of shit would happen. I'd
Tears
go,
and shit.
It was so amazing. You weren't there, but I mean, it was so amazing to me. And Howard was like, how did she do that?
Well, like we cast RuPaul for the first time.
Oh, yeah, that was
no
great.
one knew who he was, and we just couldn't figure out who to cast. A male, it was going to be a woman.
Supposed to be a woman.
And his song hadn't even come out yet, and I was on the
Wow.
set that day, and I said, just have him say "you better work" at the end of the scene, and everyone's like, "Why?" And I said, "Trust me,
we
because it was
knew.
only
A
playing
couple
in the
people
clubs."
knew.
Yeah. But that was, a bold choice at that point.
But Zimmerman and his ideas. I mean, listen to Agent Zimmerman over here,
Crazy.
recrafting the art of
Crazy.
comedy.
But it was so fun because I got to use all the pop culture. There's never been a job since then.
Really?
Was that fun to do? to use all the past and where
It was
you are
fun,
now.
and we were writing on the set and in fact, Jenna and I when you guys went away, Jenna and I had to keep writing.
I know, because you guys were too cheap to bring us back.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, here we
that
go.
Was Paramount.
No,
It was only $12 million to throw around.
No,
Stan.
no, but it was great because we had you had to hire us for each 2 weeks, so that
That's
worked
right.
out. And we had the monkeys on there,
Yep.
and then we got to do a lot of cameos.
That's where your money went, Stan, to the
The
monkeys.
monkeys, probably
Yeah.
David Jones.
Fucking
God rest his
Jones.
soul.
Yeah.
But for me, that was exciting to see the monkeys there. And we tried to get all the actors from the original show. I had recently run into Maureen McCormick, and she was like, why didn't you ask me to be in the movie?
please,
And I
we
said,
asked.
we asked so many times.
Please.
And-
I'm not going to
yeah.
have that conversation.
No, we're not going to have that one.
Did you ask her or her agent, obviously? And is that
No,
why
we
did she
actually-
not know you were asking? Is it that
She knew,
situation?
and
It
'cause
could have
she was-
never
she-
been. That was not true at all.
Yeah.
Because
No, and I knew that she loved country music and she was singing country music. So we actually wrote a scene in for her to sing a country western song, and she still said no. Mm-hmm. So that was a little
Threw that
disappointing.
scene away.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, we threw a lot of scenes away.
Hey, how are you guys doing on time?
What do you mean?
You got a little time to hang out, or you got to go play
We're
golf?
all day. We're going to stay on the air all day, and there's no way you're turning us off either. 'cause
Hostile
we-
takeover?
Yeah.
No, I'm all about that. No, we're not turning you off.
We're
Shoot,
staying on all day.
that would
That's just the way it is.
that would trigger a zombie apocalypse if we tried that one. We'll be right back real quick.
Sailing on a summer breeze, rocking with a passion, taking it to ecstasy. Moving in the midnight, sailing on a summer breeze, rocking with a passion, taking it to ecstasy. Is it
Hello, everyone. This is Ethan with Combat Radio. I'm sorry, I didn't see you standing there. Why? Because I'm reading the brand new Combat Radio Brigade-Radio-One book, Live at the Canyon, Year 1. An epic tale of backstage interviews featuring The Temptations, Berlin, Jeff Tate, formerly of Queensryche, all the greats, 1 year's worth of survival stories. The greatest concert book known to man. So good, it compares, I'm told, with the Bible. Get your copy today. Go to Amazon, punch in Combat Radio Book, and bang, you can be included in our very cool club of book owners. Hey everyone, it's Ethan with Combat Radio here, Brigade-Radio-One. Many of you know last November we partnered up with the members of Guns N' Roses, Quiet Riot, Typo Negative, as well as cast members from The Simpsons, Supernatural, Twin Peaks, Spider-Man, and such for an epic live broadcast of A Christmas Carol to help out social services. Well, get ready and buckle up, because this year, on November 15th, we're doing it again. A full-throttle barrage of Christmas, and for all the right reasons. Join many of your favorites from everything from Transformers to Star Wars to Guardians of the Galaxy and many other epic talents as we come together for a live broadcast of A Combat Radio Christmas. In fact, Combat Radio Christmas Carol 2. Live at the Canyon Club in Santa Clarita, November 15th. Tickets at Ticketmaster, details on our Facebook, Twitter, etc., all of that. Be a part of the action. Get yourself some backstage passes and help out the cause. We'll see you November 15th.
This is Tom Kiefer, and you're listening to Combat Radio.
Hey, this is Michael Lang. I've got a little self-promotion happening here. Get my new book, Musings of a Jewish Guy, available at Kindle, $2.99. And if you buy one, I'll sign it. How's that going to work out?
I am intense. Sing it with me. I am intense. Shout it out to the world.
All right, welcome back. Actually, we're going around the room. Producer, director extraordinaire Stan Zimmerman is in the room with us. He's always a great guest, and he's got a play happening.
Meet and greet, and we actually got extended for one show, July 11th, Friday, 8 p.m. at the Fringe Festival.
Like that. I mean, anything you do is pretty much gold. And you're also a daughter of...
I directed that. We have the last show on Sunday at 3 Clubs Lounge on Vine.
How do you direct multiple plays at once?
You have to compartmentalize your brain, and
Yeah.
like the morning is one show, and then you have lunch, and you relax for a second, and then you go into
You
the
are
other.
compartmentalized.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Kat Dyson is in studio with us. She was the guitarist for Prince, Seal, Mick Jagger, everybody, basically. Ziggy Marley. I wonder what that was like. I'd like to hear those stories. He's one of my personal favorites. Director Betty Thomas, who's directed basically every third movie in town. Every third good movie, I should say.
Very well said.
Not every third
Well
movie.
said.
Michael Bay's directed a few, but every third good movie is... right, anyway. And now we're actually joined by a good friend of mine. We're going to bring a little culture to the show. Jazz A. Steve Johnson has decided to join us. Get on the mic, Steve, so we can hear what you have to say.
Hey, it's a great pleasure to be here. And
Don't bowl us over with tempo and excitement, buddy. Come on.
I do want to invite everybody to a memorial tonight for Frank Strazzeri. He's the author of the music that you're going to hear, and also the pianist.
Wait, a memorial? What are you trying to do to this
show?
show?
May 9th at 84.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
This is now the Hindenburg of radio shows. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we got an up-and-comer on the gig, 29-year-old phenom.
Yeah,
Joe
Dave.
Santa Maria.
Yeah? Get on the mic. Get a little closer on the mic. You're on. Hey, Kat would relate to this. I saw you guys playing up at Universal, and you had a bass player that had like 12 strings on his...
That's
strings,
Randy
8 strings.
Strom.
Yeah, what was that thing? It looked like a harp almost.
Yeah, that's a version of the Chapman stick, kind of an improved craft version of it. Built by War Guitars, WARR, and Randy's.
That's going to get you a couple of free ones after the show, I'm sure.
Randy's an endorser, and he's a great counterpart to play with. And that instrument is a composite of bass and guitar.
Okay.
And so when it's a hammer technique for the guitarists in the world, which I guess there's more, I'm trying to actually be the guy that says, hey, there's something other than guitar and voice in the world. But guitar is a fabulous instrument, and Randy's version of it, combining the bass and guitar, is it's a wonderful instrument to play together with. And we love playing for you over there at the brunch.
Yeah, I love that you guys play solely for me and not the 600 other people there. I really like that they brought you in just to keep me amused up at Universal. They really know how to put my deal together up there with style.
I didn't want to get this guy angry.
Article 6, page 12 of my contract. Steve Johnson plays for his brunch every Sunday. Deal done. I'm good. Hey, whatever. But you guys are pretty epic. Where are you playing outside of that, though? You got any concerts coming up?
Tonight is at Jackson, Glendale, corner of Lexington and Brand.
That's if we want to go to a memorial.
Well, okay. But
which we should attend, but...
think New Orleans,
Really?
Celebration of life.
Celebration of life.
Yeah.
There we go.
And you play that, you got the trumpet going and you put a little beret on it. I saw you
That's right.
Like that?
That's a special gear that I bring for the quiet table. There's a regular couple of customers whom I also play for.
No, you don't, buddy. You play for me. Get that straight.
I don't worry about them
Get that
getting
fucking
angry.
straight, Johnson.
They're not as big as you are, but
right. Remember that.
But their words are very sharp sometimes.
To be honest with you, they don't appreciate it if they're telling you to dial it down a notch. Because I want that table's number. What table number is that? Because I'm going to have to set them straight and say, listen, buddy, this guy plays the way I tell him. He's going to get that beret off your fucking trumpet.
There you go. That's
all right?
what we got to do.
We're going to get this thing handled. So what table number is that? Is that 16? It's those old people at 16.
It's in the corner, right where they walk in and out of the kitchen.
Yeah, see, that's why they belong. That's why they're next to the kitchen door that swings in and out.
I know.
That's the last available table in no man's land. That table is actually in a different zip code than the rest of the restaurant.
And yet, we have to play very, very quiet to please them. But we do please them.
He was in such a good mood till you got here. And then you
I'm going to talk to you after the program, Johnson. You're on double secret probation. You and I are going to talk outside of the studio. You come in here with memorials and other people you're playing for. The nerve. The nerve. Buddy, I have a lot of respect for you in all sincerity. I'm going to actually... Can I keep this?
Yes, of course.
I'm going to play this. I'm going to turn you over to Chandler Coates to do a real interview.
Okay.
He's our music director here, and you've got a certain level of culture and sophistication. I want to talk to you. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you after the show, okay?
All right.
Yeah, and then that table number again is what? But in all seriousness...
Hey, you were still able to hear me after all the bombs and bells and whistles.
Let me tell you, if I can hear you from the other room, which is the bar, several Mai Tais into it, you're doing good. You're doing good. All right? More on that later. We're going to play a little bit of Johnson's music here.
Gulf of Aden.
Gulf of Aden. Here we go.
Was that fucking web thing that was so creepy weird? Yes. Yeah, wasn't it? I love it. Hi, it's Betty.
Hey, all right.
I know who you are. Hi,
Have a seat, Kurt. Always a pleasure to join us. See you guys. Yeah, we're on the air now. That was getting too good to play music over.
So we can really we can compete. But what about this?
You don't need it. It's just for show. Pull the mic closer, though, Xander.
Yeah.
All right, so in case you're wondering who you're with, not only do we have director, producer Sam Zimmerman in studio, who's done everything from the Gilmore Girls to Roseanne to Golden Girls to Meet and Greet. Right. We also got Kat Dyson, guitarist for Prince, Sheila E., Seal McJagger, and we got director Betty Thomas, who's directed everything that's good. And then now Xander Berkeley, our good buddy, star of Salem, also son of Batman and of 10,000 other things.
Load of crap.
No, you're welcome. And then you brought a friend of ours, Kurt Fuller, who gets second-class treatment because we're overcrowded today, and he's a last-minute addition. But we wouldn't dare deny an epic talent like this. If you can't have a show with this guy, there's no show. There's just no show.
I can sit in my lap.
Kurt, get on the mic and tell us a thing or two about yourself.
Kurt Fuller?
Yeah, what's the...
Well, I hope everybody out there knows who I am. I hope no one's Googling.
Well, I loved you in Miracle Mile, actually. When your eyes get blown out by the nuke explosion, that's genius.
You know what that was, by the way?
What was it?
The movie
Eggs?
was so low budget. That was 2 eggs.
I figured.
2 eggs in my eye.
But you know what, though? I was, in all seriousness, I was really kind of impressed how they took that movie from beginning to the end and really ratcheted up the tension. Like, I was with that movie when I saw it the first time.
That was one of the great... movie was one of those on the Hollywood Blacklist, one of the top 10 unproduced screenplays for so many years. And then this company called Hemsdale, which no longer exists, did it for $4 million. It was one of my first jobs. And, it was the first of many times I've been killed on screen. I didn't realize it was going to be my career.
It was pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, it's funny. You walked in, I'm sure you wanted to talk about all your epic work on basically everything awesome, and here I bring up Miracle Mile.
I'll say.
Yeah, and you're like, thanks, Xander, for bringing me here. Where's the exit? How do I get out of here?
That part, and I didn't get it. So
were you really up for that part?
You were not. Xander has beaten me. Xander has had my career. First, here's who I lose to: Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Xander Berkeley, and then they get to me.
Well, you probably thought we were going to talk about anger management, Pursuit of Happiness, Wayne's World, but I bring up Miracle Mile, and Xander sitting there going, "Thank you, motherfucker."
I actually saw Kurt in a play called Kvetch a billion years ago. Kvetch, and he was fantastic.
Where he should have won a Tony.
Here. Well, they don't give Tonys in L.A.
But if they did, he would get it.
He was, and I remember just being so impressed when I first moved here and saw him.
I was a realtor when I was doing that.
Really?
That was a play.
God.
In fact, this is an interesting story. Here I am selling real estate. I do this. Xander, get out of the room.
Pull the mic closer to you,
I'm
Kurt.
here now. You got me here. You showed me where we're going. Now leave. My God, what do you know?
We'll get to how much we love Xander in a minute. Right now, we love Kurt.
Okay, but first I want to say, before anything, this fall on ABC, Tuesday nights at 8:30, Manhattan Love Story. That's my new series.
Nice, Manhattan Love Story.
Well, Manhattan Love Story.
Hop your wares,
tell
your
now I'll go
No, that's exactly what it is. Now he's like, "Can I leave now, Ethan?"
Well, he's going back to Wayne's World. Let's do something in this millennium.
Hey, hold up. If
Ask
you're
me
in,
how it was when talkies came in.
You sold real estate?
how was it when talkies came in, Kurt? How was that?
Well, no,
How was that technical
It was
development?
when we went from black and white to color that the makeup got really weird. But anyway, somebody else talk.
How much? The real estate.
Oh, all right. I was
Yes.
selling real estate.
And you had to sell Betty Thomas a house at the time? or-
Well, I wish. And I'm honored to be in the same room as you.
Oh, I love it.
You have
Thank
no
you.
idea who I am, but I've been
Kurt.
stalking you for 20 years.
Don't talk that way about yourself, man. Come on, you're a legend.
Anyway, I was selling real estate, wanted to be an actor. I did this play called Kvetch. That was in that time, it was huge. I mean,
Stephen Burkhoff.
Stephen Burkhoff wrote and directed it. People, at the time, most of your listeners don't know who these people are, but Johnny Carson, it was a 99C theater, where I talk directly to the audience, and I look out and Johnny Carson's there, Jack Nicholson, and I mean, it was one of those event plays that you don't have in LA anymore. And one of the people who came to see it was
me.
The late, great you. Not late, great. You shouldn't have said that a little too late.
You jumped the gun, Stan.
Harold Ramis.
Oh, Harold Ramis is there.
Oh, Harold.
And was nice enough to make unbeknownst to me, he got me into Ghostbusters 2, and that's how I got out of real estate, because of Harold Ramis, may he rest in peace.
Let's talk about that legendary moment in Ghostbusters 2 where you're hired on and you're like, oh, great, I get to play a Ghostbuster, Harold? Or I got some heroic... no, you're the basic... How would you define your role in that movie?
I was the basic... What I played for many years, the officious asshole.
Right. And do people, when they come across you, like throw all your asshole lines back at you?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Well, my name in that movie was Hardemeyer. So
Brilliant.
Everybody called me in the street. They go, hey, hard on. Hey, hard on. Stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you look back with a certain level of affection. I'm sure. I mean, isn't employment number one first in this business, and then quality employment second?
It's better to be known as something than to be known as nothing.
Right. Well, I just saw Xander the other night opposite Pacino in Heat, where he played the guy who slept with his wife. That was good. Hoo-yah! How was Pacino?
Al's super cool. You can't ask for a better star to work with, I don't think, than Al, because he comes from the theater. We did a little play or two together, so I already had a.
Were you up for his part as the Godfather too? Were you like the?
No. He was the first time, actually, the only time I did a movie with him, and it was great.
Yeah,
fun.
He was good.
Yeah.
He's still good.
No, I'm not saying he was good talent-wise, but I mean he was good to work with. He gave you your time.
Actors' Tourette's at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's that can happen to anybody.
A lot of short
people
get
so
that.
much reward for one particular set of behavior. It's almost impossible to disengage from that set of behavior and go to a completely new character paradigm after that, because the audience really won't forgive you for not giving them that thing that they love so much.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey comes to mind.
Yeah. How was he?
Like music. I play the oldies. Don't play like nobody wants to hear your new songs. They want to hear your classics.
How was Jim Carrey?
I don't know him.
Okay,
I'm just saying he's another. You weren't listening. I was saying.
Give me some credit.
Don't get him riled up.
I wonder why he gets the prick roll.
But I'm just saying he's another person who he had a great trick.
Yeah.
He can do more, but they kept paying him to do that trick, and then people went, I don't want to see that trick anymore. I don't want to see you anymore, basically. I mean, sorry, but that's what
Stan,
happens.
you got a play for these two guys to do, or what?
I wish I could.
Can we write something quick, Betty? We got a movie for these guys? Or?
We met and became friends doing a play. It was a play called The Grand Delusion, a light little
kind of like doing this
farce
show
about World War I.
Yeah.
And he played the Kaiser and I played the Tsar. And we were cousins, and it was so much fun.
If you could do any play with the two of you, what would you do?
I was thinking on the way over here.
Come on, let's do this. Set it up.
Would it be,
Waiting for
I guess
Godot.
it would have to be. I like to go too, right?
Oh my God, that'd be kind of good though. Will you talk a little bit, Xander, about that web series thing? Just because there are so few web series, and I think it's a place that a lot of people are going to be working now. So
Kurt was talking about it the other night.
It's I saw it online, and then I'll I don't want to do all the talking, but this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen, and it's amazing. I'm sure it wasn't a big budget, but it's shows you what you can do with a great script, good actors, very little money, and a camera.
Okay, I'm actually listening at this point, Kurt. So tell me real quick, and tell our audience, what's the name of this web series that Betty's talking about?
I don't know.
He doesn't know. It's called
Piece of Shit.
Piece of Shit starring Sandberg. Legend. Love it.
It's called The Booth at the End, and you can get it on Hulu. I think it was pretty much exclusively a Hulu entity because they did it as a little sort of like limited mini-series internationally and then held off their domestic release of it to be an exclusive original content thing for Hulu. It was a web series, and it's funny because I'd been to, do you know Michael Lehman, director?
Of course.
He was going out with Jessica Landau, and we were both invited to the same dinner party, and I'd worked with Michael and introduced Michael to my wife Sarah Clark, a wonderful actress, come on the show sometime. And they were chatting, and so I was chatting with Jessica, and we were all sitting at the same table, and like 3 days later, she's in the meeting and everybody's talking about, ideally what we're looking for is this Xander Berkeley type.
Wow.
And
wow. You're a type now.
Who
yes.
knew? But she said, well, actually, I know Xander Berkeley. I could send him the script, and it was sort of like, And
why don't people just think to go right to the source on that?
I don't know, but because, and here's the thing, and she sent me the script, and she said, just please, this is an amazing piece. You're so perfect for it. You are the archetype that they're searching for. Just give it. And by the way, don't erase this message. It's a web series.
And did she? Oh, that's nice. And did she say we were actually really after this dude Kurt Fuller or something? But he passed.
No, there was none of that because at the time it was anathema. It was post-writer's strike. And it looked like all of our careers were going to just be flushed down the toilets, and we'd be working for $100 a day after having worked for
$200
a day for years, and that suddenly there was this web series thing that was going on, and it was really if we had any dignity at all, we were just going to say no to that. Even though we were such whores, we've been working on everything for years, but that was going to be the line we drew. And I read this thing and I said, damn you.
Right.
This is the best thing I've read in
so good.
long.
You have to see it. It's so good, and Xander stars in it, and it's something you can't imagine, actually, and it couldn't take place, I don't think, anywhere except on the web.
That's right.
And that's why it really
And the mistake it made in the second year, because they did a second season, was to try and make it more like TV.
That was just an endorsement. That's like an official endorsement you can actually probably use on the
Yeah.
trailer. Betty Thomas says.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
what
Wait,
makes it so just for web
Can
series?
you mention the guy's name who wrote that thing, who was the original?
Christopher Kubasik.
Yeah, that's
and he did a masterful job of creating this concept, which was how do we do away with all the special effects, all the cuts, all the crap, all the digital nonsense, and how do we just get down to two people and in any given scene and exploit the maximum real estate in a booth. At the back booth in a diner.
So he's the guy that can do whatever you need done. He's the guy in the back booth, the designer, can do whatever you need done. However, there's pay.
Yeah, you have to perform a task, and he has a book that he's made off with from another realm. We don't know about what it is. He keeps it under wraps. He's not really supposed to have it, and he consults it, and through this book it's determined what your task must be, and you can have what you want. It will happen if you do this task, and if you report back to me on the progress as you go along.
Right. So, for instance, I want my husband's dying of cancer, but if my husband were dying of cancer, and I want him to be saved, and so that he can live there, for the rest of life and get rid of the cancer.
Yeah, and in one case, a situation similar to that, an old woman her husband's lost his mind to Alzheimer's, and
Okay,
he can get it back if she plants a bomb in a public place. And she can't do that. And that's the struggle, and it's her having this painful reportage of the steps she's taking, and I'm saying, seriously, you don't need to do this. This is only if you want to actually twist fate and make this thing come about. There's a price to be paid, and it asks
I'm going crazy just listening.
The timeless question of what are you willing
do?
to pay? What
That's
are you willing
right.
to do to get what you want?
That's right.
And are you the only regular, and then everyone else is guest starring?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then all the stories intertwine. And
What's Kurt playing this?
No. I actually want to ask a question because but when you ask them to do these very difficult, morally compromised tasks, is it for a greater reason? Are the outcomes of those sometimes horrible things you ask them to do for the benefit of something, for the greater good, or are they just simply, this is what you've got to do if this is what you want?
It remains intentionally ambiguous, and is he God or is he the devil? You don't know. Is he a fallen angel? Possibly, which means he could be and turn and go in either direction, but he's definitely taking a compass on human morality. That's his research in the first season, and then second season he wants to understand more about this thing that seems to compel them called love. But it's this detached observation, and he's the observer, and he can make these things happen. But it seems as though he is, however Machiavellian, able to hold the strings in such a way that everything stays poised, and all these stories do intersect, and one thing stops another thing from happening as these stories unfold, and not in too neat and tidy a way, because some things definitely there are consequences.
Your vocabulary is raising the IQ points of the audience.
Sure.
Actually,
He has no idea what you just said.
No, I get it. Thanks for the compass of human morality. You know what? But that brings me to Salem, which is a show I've been following, and I got to tell you, you're excellent on that show. Brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, I know that the Cirque du Soleil sex tar pit or whatever it is you talked about last time that was going on in that, it was kind of a showstopper. But you are pretty good as a, I don't know, what would you call yourself on the show? Creepy,
No, just in the, I've
like
played creeps in every century, but this is the first time I've done a 17th century creep. No, I don't know. He's a guy who's trying to walk a very delicate balance as well between two worlds. He's tethering a reality between Puritan society because he's the magistrate, but he's also been practicing witchcraft since he was a small boy because his parents were burned at the stake for heresy as pagans in the old country before he was shipped to the United States, the New World, where he had to live undercover and has a sort of an impulse towards revenge for what happened to his parents. But he's also just trying to live a life with a wife and child that are in this puritanical society, and he doesn't want to be outed as a witch because he knows that can...
Props to WGN for moving forward on it, because it's pretty cutting edge at times, and you make that show. The only thing that show is missing is Kurt Fuller.
He needs to be there as the rabbi.
Right.
Comes in.
All of you are doomed. Yeah, I think, see, that's what last time when we had director T.J. Scott in here, the Spartacus Black Sails fan, we mentioned to him, we said, if you were going to direct it, when Xander moves on to produce it, to keep him on the show and keep him happy in season 2 or 3 or whatever, maybe we can bring in Kurt to play
And we need more great female directors. We had one great director.
Dude, there are no female directors on television. Let's face it.
No,
it's about 12%.
There are some,
it's
but
12%.
not enough.
It's the same girls over and over. Break it out, boys. It's not cronyism. Stop it, you white boys.
Well, I mean, I know I'm a white guy.
I don't hold back. Ooh, that was good.
Look, I'm for you. Let's go to the best person.
Are you a white boy?
Well, we could talk later. I mean,
but why do you think that is? Why are there not?
That's just the way it is. You want to work with your friends. Your friends are who they are. It turns out to be cronyism. If the girls all got together, if they ran the thing, it'd be the same thing, probably. But I'm just saying.
They're going to be running everything in another couple of years.
Did either one of you guys do Hill Street Blues?
I never did.
You're kidding.
How is that possible between the two of you?
Jesus, we had like, what do we have? Like, sometimes we had 45 additional roles on each show.
And these guys have a combined 40,000 credits. How do they not get on Hill
That
Street?
is hard to
Do
believe,
the Hill
actually.
Street.
He was selling real estate. He was very busy.
I did buy my house from you at that time.
Yeah,
what's shopping?
I want to address another additional thing you said is that now when you go into a room where there's studio heads, they're about the same age as my children, and I don't think they want to hire people or give orders to people or be the boss of people who remind them of their parents. I think it makes them uncomfortable on a subconscious level.
I think you're right about that. And what I loved about Hill Street Blues is the cast was older. If they made that show now, everyone would be 26 on it. Yeah. 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, everybody was 30.
And you really...
I was the youngest person on the show. It was like I was 29. I just turned 30 on the show when it first...
But you guys had that look like I've been around the block, and that's what I think sold it for me. I mean, it was so many... And Mimi Leader was a script supervisor on it. I mean, been around the block.
Mimi Leader.
Not sexually?
Yeah. Mimi Leader was our script supervisor, who is now a big
director. Yeah, so there's one.
And, and Charlie directs. Charlie Hayed a little bit, but...
Dick Wolf. David Milch, what those bums
whatever.
do. Yeah, they're fucking talentless. Law and Order, what is that? Tripe. Yeah, 9 different incarnations. That's probably hired you guys several times over. I guess I should apologize now.
And put you up in a nice hotel in New York, so
do they?
Don't say anything bad about it.
No, they trust me, man. I actually like Dick Wolf's work.
I like
but Dick Wolf if he was smart, he'd hire you guys repeatedly. Let's get to that.
You've done all the Law and Order.
Dick Wolf owns me.
Yeah. He did up until you doing this show today. Now
is he doing your show? Is your show? Dick
No. It's not Dick Wolf. Give
it another little plug.
What, Manhattan Love Story?
Yeah, Manhattan
on
Love Story.
ABC at 9:30 on Tuesday nights in the fall. The new fall show.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's unbelievable. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how do they work that out?
Is it an hour show?
It's a half-hour show.
Good. He's very funny. He needs to be doing more comedy.
Yes.
Hey, now's a good time to talk about Manhattan Love Story. We have a guest in studio named Will, who actually produces another radio show. But since he showed up today to supervise us, I'm going to have him do an entertainment report and put you right on the spot. And he goes, what am I going to talk about? And I said, Believe me, we have that issue every day here.
You know, Ethan,
So-
thank you, man. Thank you for bringing me on.
Make it
And,
sound
You know, if you had told me I was going to be in a room with all these people who helped shape my childhood, I would have brought some scones or something, man.
Childhood.
It's never too late to go get scones, my
All right,
friend.
I'll go get some
Is what he
scones,
would have
man.
brought us?
When you're done with your entertainment report, you can go get scones and danishes for everyone here.
That's great. I'm so
Viagra.
Yeah.
The Star Miracle Mile. They got-
Scone, Kurt.
Lucky for you, on my show, Geeks with Wives, I'm the guy who's always, got my notes going on, and I know exactly what I'm talking
And I
about.
noticed no notes today. Would you like my notes?
No. Yeah. Totally lost. But anyways, June 27th today. In
Manhattan Love Story? I think
Manhattan
that's
Love Story.
what everyone's talking about.
Manhattan Love Story.
Is that not the most amazing, groundbreaking thing coming at us?
Amazing.
I mean,
Incredible.
honestly, I was excited about this new Avengers sequel, but Manhattan Love Story's got some edge, buddy.
Avengers going to take a back burner to that right now.
Yeah,
okay?
really. Nothing can compete with Manhattan Love Story. It's
No.
probably the greatest thing coming our way. I mean, honestly, I thought
agree.
this Salem thing was great, and I was ready to put Salem in the Hall of Fame, especially because this dude Xander something.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
Xander
Manhattan Love Story, unbelievable. I mean,
Incredible.
is it true that Robert De Niro and Al Pacino both tried to get in that?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, oh God! You know the only thing that's missing.
Everybody's
is
trying to get in.
If Stan Zimmerman was producing that,
Yeah.
that show would be the greatest show
Over
of
the
all
top.
time. So
Over
I don't
the
know what to do. I mean, honestly,
Let me tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, what can we know? What can we find out about it?
Tell us.
Since you guys, you spent more time and you know nothing about the show. You wouldn't answer one question about it.
Well, I mean, I know that I'm looking forward to it much more than I'm looking forward to Batman Superman.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
so Kurt, I mean,
who is it?
the floor is yours. Let the audience hear.
Well, I have to say apologies to everyone in the room. There are no witches in it, Xander. But
oh man, damn it!
Always has to.
No, I don't
Maybe
always have to. I can't help it.
It doesn't
Maybe
have
you'll
a
get a
witch.
female director that'll. Oh,
Well, not. I would love you to. You're like one of the greatest directors ever. I mean, it's just shocking to
How
me.
can we be so much nicer to you than the actual producer host of the show? That's
no.
There's something at stake
I'm
here.
loving it.
But I will say this, Kurt. It may not have witches, but it's got you, my
It's
friend.
got me playing the dad, and I'm almost the granddad, but I'm old enough still to play the father of 30-something children, which is young adults. Yeah, I'm young enough. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. To play the father. You know what? I think Alzheimer's just kicked in as I was talking.
Uh-oh, too
Why I
late.
said I got that wrong. But very quickly, much shorter than Xander's explanation of Salem. Boy, what's it about? It's a love story. It's two people who come together. City guy, country girl. I have kids.
That was Berkeley.
Who's starring
The
in it?
conceit.
Yeah,
Kurt
who's starring in
Fuller.
it?
Kurt Fuller. Annalee
And-
Tipton.
yes.
Who won America's Top Model or came in second place in America's Top Model. I know. And a lot of really young, attractive people. Right? That's the most important thing. But the conceit of the show and the thing that will set it apart and make it interesting is the two people who fall in love or maybe fall in love, and when they're together, they speak and you can also hear their thoughts. So what
that's
they
an
say,
old Second City bit, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is.
It is.
What
David
they say
Rashi did
and
it.
what they think are different things, and the difference between them is often very, very funny.
It's like a series of unfiltered internal monologues of a young man, maybe a young woman, as they are exposed and begin a new relationship together. Wouldn't you say?
I just said that,
but not as eloquently as I said, my
you said
friend.
it much better. But I want to say this also: it's not all just a bunch of 22 minutes of people's inner monologue. That's maybe 10%.
It's not like
of the
Dune,
show.
basically.
It's 10%. No, it's 10% of the show.
Oh.
And
Yeah, good, 'cause
Yeah, no,
otherwise
they
it
don't
is a bit,
overuse
you
it.
know?
They are smart enough to not overuse that.
That's really good.
It's just a flavor.
And I guess we should give props to your director, Michael Fresco, who's got a great name for the business.
Mike Fresco, who is an experienced director, which I was glad to see, not 20 years old. He's my age, 147 in show business years.
They still hire older directors because they don't have to put their faces on the
That's
posters.
right.
Yeah,
And remind people of their
That's
mortality,
right.
which people don't want to think about.
correct. Anyway, he was wonderful, and shooting in New York. Although a lot of things are shooting in New York, it's still on TV. You don't see it much, and the city is a spectacular backdrop for
And they're
anything.
using it, right?
They're using it.
Oh,
There's
good.
three days on the streets.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
great.
3 days on the streets, huh?
Yeah.
Single camera.
The
3
tough
days.
streets of New York.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe
it's
you.
hard to shoot there now, though. It's really nuts to shoot there.
They
actually.
don't. In LA, when you shoot, it's like, oh, everybody stop, gardeners stop, cars stop, everybody stop. We're shooting in New York.
F you.
The guy was doing the leaf thing where here they'll stop the police guy. Says, no, he shoots him, killed him. No, that's New York's tough. Set the dogs on him.
Really
no,
tough.
they just said, hey, he's working. They don't make any accommodations for shooting.
Wow.
I once took a megaphone out to yell at a guy or to speak, but with a megaphone it's pretty loud, on a downtown street in New York. Come on, there's buses going by, you can't even hear anything. And I'm to try and talk across the street to this guy. What do you call the guys who take photographs? The
paparazzi.
Paparazzis. This guy who wanted to be in the scene, and I said, "You cannot be in the scene." And I'm saying through the megaphone, and so as I'm saying through the megaphone, there's a cop on the other side of the street going, And I'm like, what's this stuff? And he comes running across the street. He goes, You do not have a permit to use that megaphone.
Oh my God.
And I was like, dude, who hired you? Are you on our set? Because I'm firing you right now. He says, you aren't firing anybody, lady. I was like, whoa.
What movie was
crazy.
that from?
I don't know.
You know,
Fluffa 28 days, maybe. 28 days, because they
Sandra
were after
Bullock,
Sandra.
yes, yeah.
They were after Sandra. They had to have pictures of Sandra, but they wanted to stand in the scene while they took the pictures. Oh, I hate shooting there. I love the incentive, but I hate shooting.
I think we should start a campaign where people take pictures of the paparazzis and post them. See, these are the worms.
Wait, did you
You
hear
know what
that?
I'm saying?
There's a guy in San Francisco who was taking pictures of, what is he taking pictures of? Wait, no, it's not the paparazzi, but that's a good idea. He was taking pictures of who are on their phone when they're driving. He took pictures and rented a billboard and put their pictures up. And he said, here are the people who are causing our lives to be hell.
I like it.
Wow,
I
loved
genius.
it. I love the concept.
Is he driving around and taking these pictures?
Unfortunately, you're right.
Hey, Xander, are you at Comic-Con this year? Are you doing it?
I would like to try. I would like to do that one of these. How about you?
I've done it.
You've done it. I did WonderCon. I feel like that was warming me up to the big.
Because I figured they'd have you down there for Salem, if not your DC Comics stuff.
I'm old. They want the young.
No, what I'm telling you, you're not old enough for us, buddy. We're doing a party bash live broadcast event from the ship from the Pirates of the Caribbean. We want you on it if you're down there. That's why I'm asking.
I'll come down.
I want to make sure you're part of it.
When is it?
July 25th, Friday night. You're welcome to, Kurt. We'll be sure to listen to you at that point.
In New York doing Manhattan Love Story.
Kurt's got a job.
You're in that Manhattan Love Story.
Yeah, I
show.
am. But I got to tell you something. You've got to go to Comic-Con. They will love you. They will love you.
I have several things I could hawk.
Yeah, and we'll hawk it for you. And if you're wearing a Manhattan Love Story T-shirt, even better. I mean, come on.
I mean, Son of Batman brought me down, and the Salem panel was like, "Oh, you're here? Okay."
Wait a minute. You're here? You're like the whole show. I'm sorry.
I just don't believe that.
I don't believe that either. I think you're being modest.
The whole time I was on Nikita, I never got invited to Comic-Con, and there is ageism, just like there is sexism.
Yeah, it's both.
And you can accept it because I would hate to be that guy that's like, look at me, and so I've never fought into that. I always went the other direction.
Yeah, but you've got like an iconic, almost Darth Vader vibe on this show. I'm surprised the fans would even tolerate you not being there. That would be a social media disaster for Salem to not.
In charge?
No, I'm putting myself in charge. I'm telling you right now, the publicity of WGN needs to be like, look, we're going to have a disaster if we don't have, Xander Bergen. Forget it. The Salem. I mean, who are we going to talk to? What the? Forget it. You're the guy.
Okay.
Did Will do his report? Did Will do his report?
Are you done with your report now?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Did I cover it for
Thank you so much for letting us know about
Xander, by the way,
Manhattan
man,
Love Story.
you were amazing in Nikita.
Thanks.
You should have been there, man.
Yeah.
I went to a couple of those panels, and I'm like, where's?
See, this is the kind of uplifting report you get from us. It's all about you guys. What else you got, Will?
The fun thing to know, though, is that the Nikita crowd, we really bonded all the most of the supporting cast, and we're all going down to see one of the people that came into the show. Noah Bean came in the year after I left, but started to come in. We got to do some scenes together, so we all were good friends. And he's doing Othello in San Diego with Blair Underwood. Othello.
At the Old Globe?
We're all gonna everybody, Shane and Aaron Stanfield and Melinda Clark and Sarah and myself. We're all and Aaron, his girlfriend as well, Laura. We're all going down there. We're going to support and see the show, and then spend the night and hang out in the hotel.
Is that Shakespeare's Othello?
That's Shakespeare's Othello.
Hope that hotel has insurance.
Tyler Perry's.
I want to make sure the version.
Tyler Perry's Othello? Are you kidding? Is that what you just said? Tyler Perry's Othello?
It's Blair Underwood. He's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it.
So Stan, you've got to play for these guys, and Betty can do the theatrical version of it. the film version of it. And
I would
Will,
love
you
to
can go to
work
the set and report a bunch of cool stuff.
Awesome. That's great.
Make sure our propaganda's together, and Cat will do the music.
Did he get to talk a lot before we came in this week?
Yeah,
Oh my
they
God,
were
he
breaking
talks so
entertainment.
much.
Oh, he
So
did.
much.
You know, Zimmerman
I
loves
had
to
to
talk.
talk.
The Shia LaBeouf stories. Did you hear about that?
I was going to talk about that.
Okay, let's. All right, yeah. Okay, good. What
Who wants to, you know, he got pulled out of
Shia
Cabaret.
LaBeouf.
Talk about that.
Wait, what happened?
He must be really upset about not being in the new Transformers. Which, by the way, Mark Ryan, Transformers 4.
Yes, my co-host
Yes.
is Bumblebee. He's Bumblebee in the first 3 Transformers, but he's like, I guess he's a new
Lockdown,
Transformer.
right?
Yeah, he tries to tell me, and I'm like, it's in one ear, out the other.
He was carted
Giant
out by
robots.
police
I don't.
during a performance of Alan Cummings' Cabaret on Broadway. He got, you tell the rest of the
From the stage?
For
Was
being
he in it?
disruptive and
in the audience during the middle
What's
of the
his
show.
problem?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys.
Yeah, you.
Well, I can tell you what I hear
What's
his
his
problem is,
problem?
but I don't have any
He was
first-hand
going crazy
experience.
and talking during the middle of the show.
And you, being a theater guy,
ain't
would
going
want to stomp
crazy.
on his neck.
Yeah, but now it's good publicity for
got arrested.
Cabaret.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, was he
Have you ever
heckling?
worked with him?
No, was he heckling? I wouldn't hire him. But was he heckling the actress on stage? What was he doing?
Being disruptive.
Yeah, just being
Talking,
disruptive, making
complaining.
comments and things, yeah.
During the show.
He's
Wow.
been doing some imbibing.
I see.
You know what,
Of
though?
what?
That you say that it's good publicity for Cabaret. I'm surprised that no one rigs more of that. Like,
Maybe it
we're gonna
was.
put a crazy person in the second row. You stage dive on him like it's a cult concert.
I'm
Tackle
inviting
him.
Shia LaBeouf to every play I do now.
Yeah. But we can do better than Shia, I think.
Who?
We
Who
can
other
see-
crazies are there?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Let's
crazies
see.
available. Let's look
Let's
at the
name
cast. Who's on
names.
What
Celebrity
about
Rehab
Alec
right now?
Baldwin? You could get Alec Baldwin. I always love when he
I would
goes
love to work
crazy.
with
Alec Baldwin's good. We
Yeah.
can get
I love
it.
him.
Yeah.
Gary Busey's perfect.
I do.
Gary Busey on one side of the theater, his son on the other. Brilliant.
Done.
It's a family affair.
Wait a minute, Gary Busey did that ad for Amazon or something. What
Hilarious,
was that?
though.
That was funny, but he made fun of being like an idiot or being like brain dead or something.
Okay, so funny, Gary Busey's. I got it.
Come on.
All right, so I'm take my wife to my family to brunch one morning, and when I was at Warner Brothers, and she goes, "You got to take me up to see Gary. I know he lives up the street. We were at Duke's in Malibu. And I'm like, "No, I don't really want. Please. You just let's say hello." So I relent and I call him. I'm like, "Gary, my wife and I are having brunch at Duke's. We thought we'd drop by and say hi." And he's like, "Yeah, come on. You know the house it is with the red jag. You know the door will be open. The door's always open because he's like Kato. You walk in, you don't know where he's at, and he will jump out sometimes off of furniture to surprise you, right? So the door is always, it's like a tunnel of doom. It's kind of like that Kung Fu movie, 9 Tunnels of Death or whatever. So he's like, come on up. So I go up. I finally go, okay. So I have my little one. She's like 2 at the time. So I knock on the door. And I'm like, Gary, kid coming through like a haunted house. Don't scare the kid, crazy man. And so I see him like doing like the judo, like the, hey, how are you? So he comes out. He doesn't jump out. He comes out, and I said, hey, this is my wife, Loda, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, nice to meet you. And he immediately goes from nice to meet you to, hey, put your hand right here. Points to his head. That's where I hit the post on my Harley. That's the steel plate. And I'm like, Gary, you're not winning any friends. I'm like, this isn't a drinking part. It was hilarious.
Mike
that was
did
like
it too. That was her dream, to meet somebody and be able to feel like that. We had a friend who, the sound guy, had an accident and had this Frankenstein scar down the back of his neck. And immediately she fixated. She's like maybe 3. Can I touch the scar? Can I touch the scar? And they wanted to feel the zipper scar. Like, that's
yeah.
so cool. And like any friend that has weird things like that, she just goes right for it. They're happy to have it demystified.
It was hilarious just watching the whole thing unfold of like that was kind of like the icebreaker. Like, check out my steel plate. And I guess if you had a steel plate, it does have a little novelty to
Go
it.
for that stuff.
But, you're by the way describing a big-hearted guy.
Oh, I have to say that around me is very big. But I have a strange sort of history of getting along with what would be seen as difficult personalities. Axl Rose, Steven Seagal. When I worked for him, everyone's like, tell me a Steven Seagal story. And I said, honestly, I don't have any. He and I were in the room and it was great. I raided his refrigerator. He'd catch me doing it. And, hey, go ahead. What's yours?
I guess it was around the time I was doing Barbed Wire, and I'd just broken up from a long relationship, and so I was seeing some different girls at the time, and one had quite beautiful girl who'd worked on Barbed Wire.
Pamela Anderson?
Was no, just smaller role.
Smaller what?
What is the story with you at Pamela Anderson's?
Right.
Oh, I have some great Pamela Anderson. That's why I only played that part of Ralph in Heat. Otherwise, I think I would have shot at a bigger part because I was doing Barbed Wire.
Of course, Barbed Wire.
Do it with Day on Heat. This girl had gone in for a Steven Seagal movie, and he was saying to her, "I'm psychic, And then later in the conversation, in the interview, he wanted to have her take her shirt off so he could look at her breasts, because he wanted to know that they were right for the movie, and she did without missing a beat. Said, "But I thought you were psychic. You should know what they look like." Bada boom!
I hope you
But I'm
married
sure
her.
He's a nice guy.
What are you saying? Seagal's a nice guy?
Yeah, no, but that's stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's like around guys. Some guys can be regular good guys, and then they're creepy around women.
I'm still half one foot in the Warner Brothers mailroom at the time, one foot into working as a writer. So when I got the meeting, my mentality was I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and take my instructions. And so when we're sitting there with all the banking executives that were going to fund this thing through some bank, Co-America or something, and I'm sitting there, and I didn't want to say a word, and they're going over this script, and it was a 70s thing, and he goes, I can't do this movie because it's got a renegade GI backdrop, and some friends in the Black Ops community would be disappointed if I did. So I said, whatever changes we need to make, let's do it. And that was the only thing I contributed. But at some point he goes around the room and he points at me and he goes, I haven't heard this guy. And he points to me, so I'm thinking, what do you say at that point? So I immediately go, well, listen, no one wants to contradict using Kubrick or Kurosawa as a reference. So I just said, we need to approach this like a Kurosawa picture, Stephen. And his eyes lit up. He's like, that's what we'll do. And I've got some artwork that Kurosawa gave to me. I'm going to show you after the meeting. Stick around. And everyone else, the executives are like, whoa, whatever. Anyway, I just kind of kept quiet. But I mean, we had the same Aikido instructor too, and I think that played into it a little bit. But he was always he was great with my kid. And what was upsetting is I heard all the combat stories, and I remember telling him one Christmas, going up, exchanging notes and stuff. I said, why don't people see you like this? Why don't we play like a totally disheveled, I can't remember my last name guy who's a total fuck up, and play like, my audience wouldn't accept me like that. So the audience doesn't accept you now. I mean, our only hope is to kind of reinvent but it's kind of almost tragic in a way.
But it's so funny that idea sort of plays back to what we were talking about earlier. And for years, I thought I almost had like this a psychological disorder because I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't want to be famous.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I had this whole
approach,
avoidance to it because I've managed to sabotage it very successfully, flying under the radar by changing the way I look and the way I talk in almost everything I do. On some level, it's a different person each time, and so people will know one character or another, but they won't necessarily know the collective character, and there is no one character that you are identifiably enough for them to expect that the next time out. And I always felt like two things would happen, that it would limit you being able to play the real character because no two people are exactly alike, and it would also limit the audience's ability to believe you are that character when they're watching the thing. And thirdly, you stop being able to observe people, and everybody's observing you, and nobody's acting naturally in front of you. So that's your muse. That's what fuels you, is the natural human behavior that you can observe. And if everybody's observing you, they're not acting naturally, and you don't get to observe them.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I have to say something, and I'm not. I'm not. You know that I can be sarcastic, and I'm not going to be now because, I mean, I've always. Xander has taken actually a lot of work away from me over the years. Although,
why is everyone stepping away from you two?
You can play romantic.
Oh yeah, why haven't I ever?
I rape the girl, and that's all I ever do.
Oh my God!
I mean,
that's a good resume bullet point.
Right. I'm not Steven Seagal. I don't worry about my audience. But when we did the play together, The Grand Delusion, I went away shocked at how much more craft you have. I mean, I always compare myself to my contemporaries because I'm competitive and ambitious like everyone else. How much more craft and ability and how much more thought you put into the process than I did. And I actually learned so much from you. I actually started thinking about acting in a different way as a result of working with you, and that's the highest compliment I can pay anybody.
You're right about that. And you know what's funny is Daniel Day-Lewis said to me the same thing about you. Like, how do I reach this Kurt Fuller style? I'm doing My Left Foot 2. I want to bring in I want to channel Kurt Fuller.
Daniel and I lived together for a few months, and it didn't work out.
No, it didn't. He was doing some Last of the Mohicans, doing a white man in Indian country film. Anyway, Stan, I think you can agree with this. It's funny because, I don't know what it was like working with Betty, and we can go on all day about that. Yes, but with Seagal, the navigation of the conversation was the challenge. It was not work of substance. We're not doing Orson Welles type. We can pretty much put together a Seagal movie right here in this room in the next 3.5 minutes. But the conversation of like trying to navigate yourself into the job and keep the job was what was challenging. I remember he goes, I want to do a horror movie like out of left field. And he's like, if you can write like I can write, you'll give me some ideas in like say 24 hours. So I write down 30 ideas or so, and they're junk. I mean, they're getting very Roger Corman-esque. And the last one is like, okay, diplomatic flight goes down in the Himalayas. Empire Strikes Back snowman comes and goes, rips in and out of the frame like Jaws, rips it apart. You're the special forces dude. Bang. He goes, that's the one we'll do. And then he follows it up by, and those creatures exist, but the reason nobody sees them is because they have the ability to transcend dimensions. Now, when he says that, right, I'm on the spot with like a reaction. I can either win or lose the job, just how I respond to that. So I go, that's ridiculous. He wants me to stand up and see if I'm a yes man and go, that's the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard. But, and then I immediately think in my head, I'm like, he's also very egotistical, so he probably thinks he sounds like a fucking genius. So I'm like, how do I answer that? And I immediately go, Steven, if that's what you want, it's my job to make it work on the page. You know?
Did he buy that?
He totally bought it. He's like, all right, get over here. Let's get up to Mandeville Canyon. Let's get to work on this thing. You know,
well, why didn't he do more comedies? I always thought if he had done something
I agree
like
with you.
Kindergarten Cop or something, use the tough guy image.
I mean, they're all comedies if you look at them in a certain way. I mean, Above the Law is kind of a comedy, you know.
Is he doing a reality show still? Wasn't he doing like somebody who was being a cop or something?
What was the one where he recovers from like a 12-year coma by hitting a board and doing acupuncture? And he comes back and thrashes the dudes that thrashed him 20 years earlier.
That was his Friday night.
God, anyway, it's far too epic. Kurt, you want to say something?
Well, I want to ask Betty a question, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
Oh, don't then.
Okay. I won't, but I'll ask you the same question.
In 1987.
No. You were saying hire more women, everybody, get away. You, to me, have directed, like, you're a known quality director of material. Are you finding it harder?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, now I am just. If you say no enough, eventually people go, she won't do it.
She doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
right.
She won't do it. And you make a lot of money, and then they say, oh, she's too expensive anyway. So it happened to Penny Marshall, I think, too. But it's not. I mean, there's only like 15%, or between 11 and 15% of the women who direct movies also. So it's just that, am I having a harder time? Yeah, but for different reasons, not because I'm a girl. And did I ever think I had a hard time because I was a girl? No, I don't really. But that I also must say that I heard people say things like, oh, good, we got our girl. So now we have our girl for the season. When I did TV, that was like, you had like one girl director.
Do you think that will change, say, if Hillary were to get elected president? Do you think that would shift?
Yes, I do. I think Hillary would help.
And on that political note.
I just sort of wonder, and what do you think in terms of the perception of having a black president? Do you think that it's opened people's minds to having black people they can do anything. They can
but it's also exposed a lot of racism out there, I think, too.
It has.
It's done both. It's done both, and, but the thing is that he had two terms is either pissing people off or warming them up. And then you're finding out, and people are having all kinds of epiphanies to themselves. I mean, I golf with a bunch of women in Burbank, and some of them, during his second re-election, used to tell me how they lied to their husbands, told them they were playing golf, went to the Democratic call center and did calls for Obama, but their households were so Republican that they couldn't even say it out loud.
Sad truth. We'll be right back.
It's like the Puritan pagan thing again.
Oh, see, there's a little bit of a Salem reference. We'll get to that momentarily.
Todos escuchen, esto es una fantasía de vino y mujeres, el sueño de todos los hombres, hecho a realidad, vamos todos a tomar este juego.
Hey, final announcements from the great director, Betty Thomas, who we have a tremendous amount of respect for. What do you got going on that anyone needs to know? Golf?
Dude, this was so good. I can't believe that I didn't do it sooner. But anyway,
neither can I.
I'm directing a movie called Guru that is the story of the last 5 months of Del Close's life. Who was Del Close? Del Close was the teacher of every comedy person you know from 1970 until now. He's dead now. But so it's a great movie, and I don't have my lead yet, but I will soon.
I think both these guys are available.
Two right here.
He jumped up pretty quick.
I got it, guys.
I got it, guys.
I got about 5 minutes of stand-up I want to do for you.
Kat, let me kick it over to you. What do you got going?
All right, Sunday, June 29th, gonna be Ethan's birthday.
Right.
I'm playing at Cafe Cordial with a band called Family Jewels with Herman Matthews, master drummer, Jeffrey Young, master keyboard player. We're gonna be doing everything from Eagles to some hip hop to some Texas blues and everything in between. And we start at 8:30. And, come and toast Ethan. He says he's going to come, but he's got a tour for his birthday.
No, I'll be there. I'm going to be buying, too, so I'll see you there. What time do I need to be there?
8:30.
8:30, so that means I'll be there at 6 and open that place up. Xander, over to you, buddy.
Salem is on the WGNA at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock. I don't know. I forget all those exact things, but it's like 9 or 10 o'clock, depending upon where you are, or it's on the internet at Amazon Prime.
WGN, yeah, Hulu.
And check out the booth at the end on Hulu as well,
Yes.
because it is a really cool thing, and we are going to do a third season pretty soon.
Good, I like that. Xander's star of 10,000 Things, including Salem, which is great, but it's not quite Manhattan Love Story, is it?
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm doing a new series for ABC Tuesday nights at 8:30. It's called Manhattan Love Story, and it is about love and comedy, and I am brilliant in it.
That
I
goes,
haven't even done it yet, and I can predict.
Over to Stan Zimmerman.
Meet and Greet, a play that I co-wrote and directed at Hollywood Fringe. We got asked to do one more encore Producers Awards show July 11th, Friday night at 8 o'clock at Theater Asylum, Vine in Santa Monica.
Oh, we love you, Stan. Let's kick it over to Will, who did our entertainment report. What do you got, Will?
Hey, if you want to check out a site that has all the latest on the geek world, comics, TVs, video game, movies, check out geekswithwives.com. We feature new cosplayers every week, as well as reviews on comics that haven't been released yet. So check us out, geekswithwives.com.
He didn't have a chance to do a music report because we got a little slam today, but DJ Chandler Coates is with us. Chandler, in closing, what are we good?
Next Wednesday, I'm going to go hang out with Steve over there. We're going to...
Who the fuck is Steve over there?
Steve Johnson.
All right, that's
You
Steve.
just had him on here.
Yeah, well, it's Steve over there. Come on.
You can check out all of his times at jazzquorum.com.
Yeah.
Really interesting guy. I'm excited to see him play.
Great artist, actually. Great artist. We're going to bring him back next week. Anything else from you?
No. Sunday.
Hey, I'm supposed to do a live broadcast from Disneyland's Jungle Cruise on the boat. More details on that. Join us July 25th at Comic-Con. We're going to broadcast from the HMS Surprise, the ship from Pirates of the Caribbean. You can actually catch us July 13th at noon doing a special World Cup extravaganza party/bash with the Chivas soccer cheerleaders. Also, a lot of other people that, from Warner Brothers are going to be joining us for that. And that's to benefit Mercy and Sharing. And, that's the show. We'll get you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Hi there, everybody. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith here to talk to you about NMOSD. It can paralyze you, it can blind you, it can even kill you in a matter of minutes, but we are very close to a cure, and with that cure could come a cure for cancer. So please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Appreciate it.